the budget hearing will resume in a while.
Ako na ba? Oh,
Budget hearing resumes. Next to ask question from the majority is Representative Roman Romulo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, let me again congratulate Sexani
And
and the
the
DepEd
chairman
family.
of the Basic Education Committee. Yes, please
Yes,
proceed.
you know, the success of Sexani will be the success of Congress and EDCOM 2. Pero alam rin natin Sexani, Sexani was with us in EDCOM 2 for more than a year, mga 2 years rin, Sexani. And Sexani is very aware of the different challenges facing our learners. Pero Madam Chair, minsan kasi, alam nyo naman, pag secretary, ang daming lumalapit eh. Minsan talagang iba-ibang issue yung na-present sa kanya. Kaya siguro, we just want to make sure that we are in the same direction as the secretary. So, una secretary, napansin ko sa wish list ninyo, meron na naman dito yung National Certification for SHS TVL. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, Your Honor, and thank you for the kind words and for receiving our DepEd team in your hearing. Yes,
Yes.
that you're correct. That it's in the wish list.
It's the wish list.
Yes, opo.
Ano po yung NC na ibibigay po ninyo? NC1, NC2, NC3, or...
Whatever is applicable, Your Honor, but mostly 1 and 2 so far. And I know I'm aware of the EDCOM recommendation that we need to scale that up to 3 and possibly higher in order for our people to, or our graduates to get meaningful employment and larger wages, Your Honor.
Yes, salamat Sexani. Just a reminder, under the PQF that I think DepEd so far heads, NC2 is merely a beginner. So the promise of K-12, job ready, will never happen if all that we will be releasing is NC2. I'm sure Sexani, as he mentioned just now, is well aware na sana majority or all should at least get NC3s, 4s, or 5s. Kasi kung hindi rin makakuha ng meaningful employment. Second, Mr. Chair, again, also in the same wish list is the 8-week literacy and numeracy program, which would require 4.8 billion.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Yes. Sexani, if I remember correctly, in one of our EDCOM meetings, EDCOM 2 meetings, while you were still chairman of Finance Committee of the Senate, this issue on the how much we allot for the education was brought up. And I think one of the education stakeholders mentioned that the regional standard is about 4 to 6% of our GDP. I recall, but please correct me if I'm wrong, ang sinagot po ninyo during that EDCOM meeting as chairman of the Finance Committee was that we are not that bad. Kasi sa totoo, 3.6 or 3.9% of GDP is actually spent already on education, and that's not even counting what the local governments contribute. Does that still hold true?
You're correct, Your Honor. At one point it reached 3.9. I think now we're at 3.7 or something like that. But it's also spread thinly because we passed universal UACTEA or
Yes.
free college. So mas maraming more mouths to feed metaphorically, Your Honor. But tama po kayo in some
Yes. So Sexani, knowing that, yung 4.8 billion, so far ang iniisip nyo dyan, lahat ng gagastos dyan, national government. But then it is also possible for the DepEd to get the assistance of the local governments so that makuha natin yung 4.8 billion na ito at ma-implement natin yung 8 to 12 week program. Is that possible?
That's a good idea, Your Honor. But I don't know if all, as you know, LGUs, I think Pasig, the likes of Pasig, Makati, and some cities would be willing to support. But I don't think all LGUs would have the capacity because, as you know, the SEF depends on the real property tax collection, and some local chief executives are averse to collecting or large sums for the real property tax, Your Honor. So the willingness will vary from LGU to LGU, Your Honor.
But DepEd will now try to create a LGU mapping in order for us to find out sino yung willing at hindi willing, so that yung possible 4.8 billion medyo mabawasan para magawa naman natin yung 8 to 12 week program.
We can do that, Your Honor. We'll attempt
Yes.
to do that, yes, Your Honor.
And also, Sec Sani, kanina naabutan ko yung teacher mismatch discussion, or at least the topic was brought up. And if I remember correctly, the response of DepEd was that it is really, a big chunk of this is because of the courses sa colleges natin.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Yes. But we also know that last Congress, together with Sec Sani, with France, Congresswoman France, we passed the Excellence in Teacher Education Act,
Yeah, TEC.
which created the TEC, and which is now headed by the Department of Education.
Yes.
And under one of the sections there, TEC, headed by DepEd, can now provide for the minimum policy, standards, and guidelines for all education courses. Do you intend to already, or is DepEd very active on that right now, or wala pa?
We have a meeting this week, Your Honor.
Oh, good.
And that the meeting on Friday is scheduled to confirm the appointment of the new executive, what's the name? Jenny Hoxon. But
Oh, yes,
there were
oh.
some, as
From
you know,
EDCOM to
as you
also.
know, there were some preliminaries with other agencies. So
Yes.
we've taken care of those.
So doon
Your Honor.
maayos nyo na yung
Yes,
tungkol sa
opo, Your
PSG.
Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
Pero at the same time, may lumalabas based on the Department of Education School Form number 7 na ang laki ng mismatch. Marami tayong teachers nagtuturo ng subjects na hindi nila pinag-aralan nung kolehiyo. And it's attributed also, sabi ng ibang teacher, it's because of the form, the hiring form, the posting that the DepEd does.
Because of the form.
Pag nag-hire kayo,
It's because of the form.
when you hire secretary, ang posting po ninyo is for teacher 1. Hindi niyo sinasabi kung ano yung
Subject.
And that is why a history major in college applies for that. Pagdating nila, bigla na lang, papaturo niyo Filipino. So is that going to
Babaguhin ho namin yun.
babaguhin yung
Babaguhin
form
ho namin, yes.
so that
Yeah.
every teacher who applies will know ano ba yung subject na ituturo niya?
Yes, opo.
That is correct.
Yes.
Secondly, yung sa cabinet cluster,
Opo.
that's Congress already passed that resolution. Pero sa resolution ng Congress, we did not limit it to the 3 agencies. Kasama po doon yung DOST. Nagtataka po ako, bakit sa cabinet cluster wala yung DOST?
We have to ask our executive director in EDCOM.
Alright, but would you
Mr. Chairman,
suggest that
because,
we add DOST?
I think maybe maybe it's not in the main cluster, but there are technical working groups where DTI, DOST, other related agencies are, Your Honor. So hindi sila yung required to meet regularly.
Yes.
Pero meron silang TWGs where they with DTI for job creation, with DOST for innovation. May ganun pong structure.
But the House
under
resolution
the-
that was passed includes them in the main education cluster, DOST. And the reason for that, Secretary, is during one of our EDCOM meetings, if you recall, DOST, meron silang DOST scholarships na binibigay. Under that scholarship, there is a requirement of a 2-year return of service. Ang inaangal po ng mga DOST scholars na magre-return service, ang expertise nila is math and science. Pag-apply po nila sa DepEd para maka-return of service, nilalagay raw po sila sa MAPE. So again, sayang po yun. I
Sayang,
think
yeah.
their expertise is science and math,
Yes.
and then nalalagay po sila sa MAPE. And so they choose to go to the private sector. So I think, again,
Yeah.
just to remind us that
Thank you.
that should be taken, we should consider that para yung mismatch mawala na po doon.
Certainly, Chairman, we'll do something about that. Medyo hindi tama yun.
Yes, so para masigurado lang natin tama yung nagtuturo. Then the other thing, I think we've been asking from the DepEd, we asked from the DepEd last year, I think after the budget hearing, already for a teacher mapping, para malaman rin po natin kung saan ang pinakamalaking mismatch na nangyayari. Because ang binibigay po sa atin ng DepEd is school form number 7. If you look at school form number 7, effectively that is about almost 900,000 copies yun. Kasi per teacher ata yun eh. Hindi ba mas madali kung ibigay na lang sa atin ng DepEd yung teacher mapping, kung ano yung specialization ng teacher, ano yung tinuturo niya. para matulungan din ng Congress na ma-match na rin natin.
Yes, Your Honor.
So for quality education, I think that's my...
I think the HROD or the Human Resources strand is in the middle of that. Your
Yes,
Honor.
but Sec, I know you're just newly appointed now, but that request was last year.
Okay.
And so it has been a year in the making. Hopefully, soon enough, they will be able to provide that already. And just to...
We have it apparently. I'm told, Mr. Chairman.
Ayos na.
We have it na.
Yes.
We'll give it to you.
Yes, and then one of the biggest issues, yung bullying, last point na,
Yes.
Chair, yung bullying, I think just for the DepEd to know, right now, sinecirculate na yung BICAM for the new mental wellness. So hopefully by next week, we will have a enrolled bill on the new mental wellness wherein we will allow by law those who are not yet registered guidance counselors, habang hindi pa marami yon, to act as registered guidance counselors. And also we will increase the salary grade under the mental wellness from 11 to 16 at minimum. So hopefully that will aid the Department of Education. And lastly pala, natanong kanina yung last mile schools eh. It is now on third reading sa floor ng House. We are passing the new last miles law. So hopefully again that will help DepEd in the use of its resources. Then again, I'll wait na lang. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Malaking tulong ho yun, Mr. Chairman. Maraming salamat
Yes.
sa
Yeah.
trabaho ng inyong komite.
Yeah.
And it will be really a big help lahat ito, especially yung sa guidance counselors, sir. Maraming salamat po.
So, Sexani, last na pala. Alam natin maraming bumubulong sa'yo ng iba-ibang problema. Most important thing is eye on the ball. The Constitution says we have to give quality education. So let us focus on that while also fixing the other problems.
Very
Thank
good
you, Madam Chair.
advice. Very good advice. Maraming salamat, Mr. Chairman, Madam Chair. Yeah. Thank you po.
Thank you for the input from no less than the Chair of the Committee on Education of the House of Representatives. Before we proceed, the Chair would like to acknowledge the presence of Deputy Speaker Duke Frasco. Next to ask question is Deputy Majority Leader Bong Teves.
Madam Chair, fellow colleagues, the Department of Education Family, headed by the recently appointed Secretary Sani Angara, good afternoon to all of us. First of all, I would like to congratulate the Secretary Angara for his well-deserved appointment in the Department of Education. Alam naman po nating lahat na katulad ng kanyang ama, the late former Senate President Edgardo Angara, si Secretary Sani Angara ay champion din sa mga pagpasa ng mga batas para sa edukasyon katulad ng pre-college law at student financial assistance law. Currently, ang ating bansa ay nakakaranas ng crisis education dahil based on the report of the World Bank on Global Learning Poverty Program for International Student Assessment of PISA at Trends in International Mathematics in Science Study, ang Pilipinas ay isa sa mga pinakamababang provincial level. Pero ang lahat na yan ay minana lamang ng ating secretary sa former secretary. Ang problema sa laptops, problema sa smart TV ng mga distribution, ay minana rin natin ng ating buting sekretary sa nakaraang administrasyong sekretary. Ang napakalungkot na COA Observation Report na binabanggit ng ating kasamang mga minority leaders ay minana rin lamang ito ng ating sekretary sa former secretary. But with the Secretary Sani Angara in the Department of Education, we are now certain that these issues will be addressed immediately. Madam Chair, as a Deputy Majority Leader and TGP Party List Representative, I manifest my 100% support to the proposed budget of the Department of Education in we due courtesy to a former senator and fellow legislator in the 19th Congress. I encourage our colleagues in the majority and the minority to support the proposed budget and if possible, dagdagan pa ang budget ng DepEd to conform with the President Bongbong Marcos advocacy sa bagong Pilipinas. Sama-sama tayong babangon muli. Maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat.
Maraming salamat, Madam Chair, sa ating kaibigan from TGP, Congressman Bong Teves, Deputy Majority Leader. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Congressman Teves. Next to interpellate is Representative our Senior Vice Chairperson, Stella Kimbo.
Salamat, Madam Chair. Siguro wag na natin i-congratulate si Sec. Sonny mismo, kundi i-congratulate natin ang buong bansa dahil nagkaroon tayo ng bagong pag-asa dito sa pagharap sa ating napakalaking education crisis. Klaro naman po, malaki yung problemang kinakaharap natin. Medyo nangungulela tayo pagdating sa buong mundo, klaro naman po sa PISA rankings. May hirap po yun sa isang sitwasyon na sinasabi nila the world is flat. Ang mga apo natin, mga anak natin, they have to compete globally. So, may mga kabataan ngayon, ang trabaho nila virtual assistant. Ibig sabihin, they apply online for a job, ang mga kalaban nila buong mundo. So, kung nangungulela tayo, hirap sila mag-compete. So, yun ang kinakaharap ng ating kalihim buong kagawaran. So, kailangan natin tulungan ang DepEd. So, having said that, big crisis, we cannot waste funds, we cannot waste time. I think those are the two things. So, nakakalungkot na pagdating sa COA report, at pinapakinggan ko ang ibang mga kongs, yun ang isa sa pinaka malaking finding ng COA report in 2023, low utilization. Ibig sabihin, mabagal ang paggastos at may natitirang pondo. So wasted funds, wasted time. Of course, pag i-compare po natin, halimbawa sa sinasaad ng liquidation reports ng confidential funds na for 3 quarters na 100% na ginastos for the 3 quarters, totaling 112.5 million. Ginastos po ito for the first quarter, Feb 20 to March 30, for the second quarter, April 20 to June 29, and for the third quarter, July 12 to September 29, for a total of 190 days. And if we count the number of days in 3 quarters, that's 273 days. So, 190 over 273, that's 69%. So, if you divide 100% utilized funds by 69% in terms of days, ang score po nun in terms of efficiency is 143%. So, ang efficiency pagdating sa spending ng confidential funds ay 143%. Congratulations po. Pero pagdating naman po sa regular funds, napakabagal po. So, nakasaad po sa COA Report 2023, may natira pa pong 37.7 billion at ang sinabi po ay may delayed, partial at non-implementation of various programs. And with that, sana po, Sec, pwede po bang ilagay ang slide 11 ni Sec Sonny, because I want to revisit that slide. Kasi nabanggit nga kanina ni Kong Jinky pagdating sa DCP, yung ating ICT packages, binalikan niya, sinabi niya na ayon sa COA report ay merong zero accomplishment rate, pero sinagot ng ating USEC. Gusto ko sanang balikan. Yung slide 11 of the presentation, the budget presentation. Yung improving the learning environment, the learning resources. Gusto ko lang itong balikan kasi ito po yung lista ng accomplishments na present ng DepEd. Nang naka-indicate is 44,638 ICT packages for delivery. So, kanina po, dinictate ng ating USEC kung ilan na po ang delivered. Tinignan naman po natin, pero hindi pa rin siya nagtatahali to 44,000. Pasensya na po ha. For 2023, the total is 11,013. And then for 2024, it's 5,567. So hindi talaga siya nagtatahali to 44,638. So kasi yun ang tanong ko eh. Kung sinabi ng COA report, as of end 2023, 0 delivered. Parang ang galing naman na umabot tayo ng 44,000 today. Of course, kung yan ay na-achieve ninyo, please explain because we will all clap for you. But based on your report, ang layo po nung 5,567 plus 11,013. So are you trying to say that this 44,638, how far are you counting? Is this including your 2015
It includes
procurement?
2022, ma'am. 2022,
But your
23,
2022
24.
is only 10,695. So it still doesn't add up to 44,000. So you must be including those earlier procurements kasi ito po ba yung nire-refer natin na nabubulok doon sa warehouses. So please give us an explanation.
Maybe we can ask the same resource person with your permission, Madam Chair.
Yes, please,
this
Sec.
is
Alam
Director
natin na hindi
Daga.
pa mainit ang inyong upuan. So, yung mga datihan po, please.
You are recognized, Director Pitake.
Blessed day, Your Honor. Ma'am, yung 44,638 packages, this is a combination of the 2023 package, that's 26,692, plus the 24 package of 17,943.
Madam Chair, I would like to manifest that yung binabanggit po ni Yusek ay procured, which is different from delivered. Malaki pong pagkakaiba yun. It's an ocean of a difference. So yun nga po ang sinasabi ng COA. Yung nag-procure po kayo pero hindi delivered. Ang delivery ay equals accomplishment. At yun po yung punto ng COA. So sana po, ito po ang ni-report ninyo, 44,638 as of procured for delivery.
Yes.
Okay. So, to be delivered. So, pasensya na po, pero yun nga ang point ng COA. Delivery ang pinaka-importante sa lahat. Di ba po? And at the same time, may problema po yung natitenga po siya sa warehousing, di ba? Sorry. So, pag na-deliver siya sa warehouse, problema pa yung from the warehouse to the school.
Your Honor, for the fund year starting 2022, 2023, 2024, yung 2023 natin, diretso na po ito sa schools. So wala na pong warehousing sa 2023 fund at 2024 fund. Delivered to schools na po ito. Diretso na po. Yung pong nasa warehouse, yun po yung 2020, 2021.
Okay, so how soon will the rest be delivered?
As per the contract is 180 days hanggang December po of this year, madideliver na natin tong lahat ng 44,638.
How many days?
Hanggang 180 days po ang contract nito, ang contract duration.
Until December
6 months.
2024, ma'am.
180 divided by 6 months
Yes, ma'am.
from procurement to delivery?
Yes po.
You said, I think that is unacceptable.
Ma'am, kasi ito, kung napapansin nyo, yan Yan pong 44,638, this equates to 504,000 laptops. Kalahating milyong laptops po ang dinideliver natin ngayon, yung na-procured for delivery.
Yes, but will you agree? Okay, wag mo muna akong sabihan ng 504,000. Tanungin lang kita, yung common sensical, kung ikaw mismo pipili ka, tatawag ka ngayon sa Shopee, papili po ako ng computer, sinabihan ka ng Shopee, okay, sige po, pero i-deliver ko sa'yo 6 months from now. Tatanggapin mo yon?
Hindi,
Ikaw
ma'am.
as an individual?
No po, ma'am.
Oh, okay. In the same vein, hindi rin po papayag ang mga estudyanteng Pilipino, and we all speak on behalf of them. So what's the solution, sir?
Ma'am, ano kasi ito, in-order kasi ito ng mga suppliers natin sa abroad kasi wala naman pong nagba-burn in ng core sa Philippines. So usually in-order to sa abroad by bulk din. Pagdating dito, i-assemble pa. So talaga pong merong time allotment para po ma-burn in yung mga technologies
So
na.
how many suppliers are you talking about?
Ma'am, ang suppliers natin ngayon, mga 7 to 8 suppliers. We will give you the breakdown of...
Is it a matter of increasing the number of suppliers?
Ma'am, open bidding po ito. So kung sino po yung manalo, sa kanila po natin ina-award yung contract.
Director, I'm just telling you, and I think all members will agree with me, that your timetable is completely unacceptable. Kasi ano po ang, hindi po ba, ano po ba ang useful life ng isang computer?
Ang according po sa COA, 5 years po yung obsolescency.
Ayun na nga po, kung yung 6 months po is just time for delivery, tapos ilan buwan pa ang procurement, another 6 months.
Hindi ma'am, yung 6 months na iyon, yun na yung contract award to delivery. Kumbaga yun yung time na i-deliver nila dapat.
Correct, but from the time that you put up the bid, etc., it's probably going to take 1 year, right?
Yung ngayon po, mabilis na po tayo. Nagsimula po tayo ng bidding ng January.
Okay, my point being, what is the solution, sir?
We need to do early procurement, Madam Chair. I think itong ginawa nila na pagpapasok na tsaka nag-procure, medyo dapat...
Baka, sir, hindi kaya pwedeng i-decentralize na lang to how
That
many
is
RD,
also something.
how many regional offices do you have, in which case that will
17.
increase the number of
17,
suppliers?
17, including
And
the
you
newly
would have
created
one back
Negros.
per regional office, right? That would mean at least 17 suppliers, and per RDO, per RO, you can have more than one supplier. Is that correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
If you have two, that will increase to at least 34. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So from 8, you can go to 34 at least.
Tama po kayo, ma'am. Yes.
So, sir,
We will conduct the feasibility study. As sabi nga po ni Sec, we are now also in the process for decentralization of the purchase of the DepEd computerization program.
Okay.
Simulan po namin.
paulit po, ilan po ang natenggang computer sa warehouses?
Ilan po? Ma'am, yung 2020 to 2021, maybe refer you sa Yusek Revsi po.
Madam Chair, good afternoon. Yung procurement ng DCP o yung computer packages for 2020 to 2021, around 70,327 DCP packages, but na-haul na po yan and na-delivered to school since December of 2023. Ang natitira na lang po ay 755 smart TVs and 900 laptops dun sa warehouse ng Transpac po.
Have you investigated kung anong dahilan kung bakit nagkaroon ng ganitong problema?
May ongoing investigation po.
Hindi pa natutukoy kung sino ang may dahilan kung bakit nagkaroon ng ganitong problema?
Maybe we can ask our legal to... They're the ones who did, with your permission, Madam Chair, Yusek Romero for legal.
Yep.
They have the investigation. They have done the investigation.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. For the Transpac matter, this is the third-party logistics provider. We have initiated to date the termination proceedings of the for the unfulfilled parts of the contract.
Madam Chair, I believe Yusek Umar is not being responsive. Ang tanong ko po is, dun sa investigation po ninyo, naitukoy niyo na po ba kung sino po ang naging source of problem within DepEd?
Yes, just to clarify, Madam Chair, there has been, as far as legal is concerned, there has been no investigation on the Transpac contract, but what we were directed to previously was to initiate the termination proceedings on the unfulfilled portions of the contract.
So, tingin ko, Sec, of course, termination is one thing, pero sa tingin ko, investigation is another thing. Somebody has to be accountable for this. I think it's a very big problem. Somebody has to be accountable. And sa katunayan, kanina pa namin tinitignan ng numero. So merong 8 billion for 2024 appropriated for computers. Meron kayong 12 billion na hinihingi for next year. Paano naman po namin susuportahan yung ganyan kung may ganito pong problema? So, ang hirap di ba? Of course, we really want to support all your requests. Pero kung hindi naman po natin ma-absorb, napakaliit po na. Pasensya na po, Director, ha? Pero 2 minutes pa lang ang dami na po suggestions dito. Alam niyo po si Chairman, napakasipag po. Weekly po kami mag-meeting ng committee. Hindi po kami nauubusan ng pag-recommend ng suggestions. Kayo po ba sa DepEd, ganun din po ba? Kasi pag mag-execom, gano'n po ka-regular ang, kahit doon sa previous,
Since I've taken over, ma'am, I've been in office 6 weeks. We have one execom every
no,
week.
what about previously, sir?
Maybe, no, ma'am. Maybe we can ask the members of the execom who can answer. How often were anyone, I guess, from the undersecretaries, Yusek Revsi? Yeah.
Since the assumption of the Vice President, noong 2022 regular at least a month, but the last execom that we had, July 2, 2023.
Sorry,
July-
once a semester? So,
Execom.
you're talking about the execom? Oh, I mean, on the average,
Meron kaming execom.
is it regular? Yes or no?
Yes, regular, but since July
No, so
of
regular
2023,
is it,
cluster
how
meetings na po.
frequent po?
Yung cluster meetings,
No, the execom.
the execom during 2022 and first half of 2023, twice a month.
Twice a month. So it's not as regular as is it is
the
today?
current, yes, opo.
Twice a month.
Twice a month.
Okay. Going back to the slide, pwede po ba natin balikan isa-isa? Kasi pagdating naman sa new classrooms, naka-indicate 4,071 new classrooms, but based on the audit report, ang nakasulat ay only 192 out of 6,379 ang completed in 2023. So that's my next question. How did we jump from 192 to 4,071 in August of 2024?
With your permission, ma'am, we'll ask Yusek Densing to report on that.
And siguro papagpatuloy ko na, Sec, naka-indicate 1985 classrooms repaired and constructed, but based on the 2023 report, only 208 classrooms were completed of the 7,550 classrooms targeted for repair and rehab of classrooms for 2023.
Yes.
So, paano po nag-jump from 208 to 1985 in a matter of 8 months? Of course, again, if it's a miracle, we'll applaud.
Madam
Second,
Chair,
second,
Your
please.
Honor, It includes spillover. So sa 2023, it's spillover from previous years.
So again, how far along? 1965?
2019 to 2022 may spillover po. So out of the 192 of the 5,133 targeted for 2023, 192 was constructed, and kasama spillover from the previous years, 2,743. For 2024, hindi pa po nag-start yung ongoing po karamihan, spillover is 1,136 for a total 4,071. Your Honor, Madam Chair, majority of the 2023 school buildings were multi-story, so we do not really expect them to be finished within the usual 120 to 150 days. So it's usually maabot po ng 240 to 70 days, and some contractors lumalampas ng 360 for those 3-story to 4-story buildings. So we expect a lot of new construction from 2023 to be constructed by the end of 2024, spilled over, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
So could you kindly just resubmit this slide to make clear what you had accomplished by year? Kasi mislead itong slide na to. It's as if these were all accomplished within the year. So nakakagulat po kasi tinitingnan naman po natin kasi yung 2023 report na syempre nakakagulat na biglang all of a sudden nagkaroon ng vast improvement within 8 months. So paki-resubmit na lang po ito at baka naman kasi nabubudol din si Secretary, nagugulat na in 8 months lahat ito nagawa. So para rin naman ma-brief properly si Secretary.
We will furnish, Madam Chair.
Yes po. Pagdating naman po sa textbooks, nakasulat dito 30 million something procured. Pero again, pagdating dito sa 2023 COA report, just to put on record, Madam Chair, naka-indicate po dito unutilized funds for textbooks, 460.3 million of 605.4 million approved budget for contracts. So there's a huge unutilized funds for textbooks. So can you please explain kung sino po ang naka-assign po for textbooks?
I think maybe Yusek Gonong or Yusek Chan would know. Yeah.
Yusek Gonong, you recognize.
Thank you, Sec, Madam Chair. Noon pong 2023, ang mga pinrocure po namin ay, senior high school textbooks po. Kasi hindi pa po tayo nagpo-procure ng K-10. So yung senior high school textbooks po, nagka-problema po kami sa procurement. Kaya hindi po namin na-procure lahat ng kailangan para sa senior high school. So bidding po uli ang problema ng ating mga senior high school textbooks.
So, may problemang malaki sa bidding. So again, pabalik tayo dito sa malaking perang hinihingi po natin at lahat po kami dito talagang we want to support the increase in your budget. So again, anong gagawin natin para i-absorb lahat po yan?
Madam Chair, Your Honor, kaya po ngayong taon, umpisahan po namin yung early procurement activity. Tapos, we're also moving towards decentralization of procurement, ma'am.
Okay. Pero itong number na to, you confirm that this is Dutch achievement or accomplishment for this year alone?
Yes po.
For this year alone?
Yes po.
Sige po. So, pa-revise na lang po ng slide na to to all those USECs concerned na to reflect the years. Okay po. Next po is para sa insurance. Meron po tayong nilaan na 2 billion pesos. Ginastos po natin yung 2 billion pesos. Binayad natin sa GSIS. I'm sure si Sec Sonny knows this. Dahil siya po ang finance chair up to recently. And because of that premiums, entitled po tayo sa repair. So ngayong dumaan ng Karina, na-check na po ba natin ang repairs at tayo po ba ay nakapag-file na ng claim against
Yes,
this
Your Honor.
fund?
And Yusek Escobedo knows the details.
Yes, and paki-special mention po Marikina, I just want to know po kung nakapag-claim tayo.
Yung Marikina po ay may isasubmit kaming list sa BTR dahil yung unang list po na nasubmit natin covers 5 regions, CAR, Regions 1, 2, 3, and 4A, total of 156 schools. Yung second list, mga NCR schools po. And we talk to the BTR na may ihahabol po kaming schools, particularly po, isa po doon yung Marikina, yung Nangka High School, because ang Nangka High School, merong 34 classrooms, totally damaged, worth 85 million, and 28 classrooms na partially damaged, na 14 million, a total of 99 million. Isasubmit po namin yan sa BTR, and we informed the BTR about this, ma'am.
So partially and totally damaged.
Classrooms, opo.
So-
And meron pa po kaming pinapakiusap sa BTR kasi school buildings lang po ang kinocover ng NNIP. Kung pwede, pati school furnitures, since integrated naman po na essential component po ang school furniture sa building.
Okay, may tanong ako. Actually, I wanted to ask si Wick Veloso directly. Nabanggit ninyo kanina solar panels. Pwede nyo bang i-push na isama na ang solar panels dito sa mga i-rehabilitate? Sa tingin ko, sa laki ng binayad natin na 2 billion, kasi halimbawa, for Marikina alone, we are entitled to 4.312 billion worth of insurance claims para lamang sa taong 2024. So, baka naman sakaling, hindi ko alam kung baka sakaling kayang I'm not sure kung
We will
pwede,
inquire,
but
Madam
if
Chair.
you can inquire.
We will inquire. But definitely, I think that's part of the new design of some of the classrooms in unelectrified
Because that will
areas.
clearly, the schools will be able to save a lot on the MOOE because a big chunk of that is used for Meralco bills. I-check nyo lang, baka sakali.
Yes, Your Honor.
Baka sakali.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, Sec, what are your thoughts on K-12? We've asked this question many times during our committee hearings. Ang sagot sa amin is, you are still reviewing K-12. It's sad, Sec, that we rolled it out without a proper impact evaluation, unlike 4Ps, which we did that properly. Ito, nagmadali, pinasok natin. You showed the slide earlier, only 20% of senior high school students are now working. Of course, we don't know ilan ba talaga ang nag-take ng TVL among senior high school students, but I think a big chunk of SHS students took TVL. I'm not sure, I think maybe half. So, if half is the base, marami pa rin ang hindi nakahanap ng trabaho. So, anong thoughts ninyo dito? Ako, offhand, if it did not work, are you open to actually, at grade 10, bakit hindi natin sila bigyan ng pagkakataon to take the college entrance exam? And if they qualify, why can't they go to college? And yung sigurado na gusto nilang mag-TVL, bakit hindi natin palakasin ang test, gumawa ng test the classrooms within the schools themselves? Para ma-strengthen ang senior high school. So, your thoughts, sir?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think that's a good idea to benefit our learners. My worry is they'll be discriminated against when they go abroad, because that was one of the arguments made when we passed the K. I was here in this chamber at the time. The father of the Senate President was the chair of basic education. I was the chair of higher education when we passed the expanded or the K-12 reform. And they were telling us that our engineers were not being hired as engineers abroad because they didn't have a 12-year basic exam. Even if they had finished the 4 or 5-year engineering degree, they would look at their basic education. It would be 10 years. And they would hire them as engineering assistants rather than engineers. So these were some of the issues raised that why we needed to go to 12 years, Madam Chair. But having said that, I think it's been very poorly implemented in the years since we passed the reform. Your colleagues here, Madam Chair, have mentioned the unfulfilled promises. Yung pangako na magkakatrabaho sila. Yung pangako na they will be able to earn a living wage to support their families. that hasn't really materialized because as mentioned by Chairman Roman, NC1, NC2 sila. NC2 is novice. Hindi nila makukuha yung minimum wage sa NC2. So, we need to work on it. Unfortunately, there was a lot of political jockeying for inclusion in the senior high school curriculum at the time, in 2016, that it became everyone threw in the kitchen sink. All the professions wanted to ibababa sa general studies ng college, binaba lahat. So now we require 15 courses of all 4 tracks of senior high school. So magtitivet ang bata, magka-college ang bata, magsa-sports or arts track ang bata. They have to take 15 classes. And to illustrate, someone na papasok to become a baker or to work in hotel and restaurant will have to take pananaliksik sa Pilipino. Kumbaga, hindi na relevant dun sa kanyang kukunin. Kaya ang direksyon namin dyan, ay nadatnan ko na po, may study ang ADB jointly with DepEd and may recommendations po yan. That was given to me a few weeks ago. But the planned rollout is 2026 to 27 pa. So, sabi ko, kawawa naman yung ating mga senior high school na they will have to deal with this cluttered curriculum which is not responsive to the needs of employers in the next 2 years. So, I've ordered that we do the review, we fast-track the review, and we roll it out in 2025 to 26. I realize this will be very challenging, Madam Chair, because we have to change the materials, we have to train our teachers, and all the accompanying actions kasama po nitong pagbago ng curriculum. But we need to, because ako po, when I did my A-levels in the UK, we only had 4 subjects for 2 years. Yung mga anak natin na nag-baccalaureate, Kong Len, yourself, they studied in schools where they probably have an international type of curriculum. Mga 8 subjects lang ho yan eh. Sa Australia, 6 subjects lang ho yan. Sa Amerika, ganun din ho. And tayo, 15. So, and yung work immersion natin, 80 to 320 hours. Pero ang hinihingi ng industriya, 640 hours. So we need to declutter the curriculum, provide electives that the kids can really, they're at an age where they really can choose their own destiny. So we just provide them with the basics, I think. Reading and writing, a little bit of math, a little bit of science, a little bit of history, a little bit of physical education, a little bit of civics, good manners and right conduct. Yun na yun. I think, Madam Chair, pag yun ang binigay natin, then we give electives and then we give the work immersion. Tapos, one suggestion is for the sports and arts track, which comprise less than 1% or 1% of the universe of senior high school students. Dapat i-fold in natin sa academic track to provide a specialization. The way we provide a STEM specialization or an accounting and business specialization, we have a specialization for arts, we have a specialization for sports. Kasi the data shows that yung mga graduates nitong tracks na ito go on to general education anyway. They go on to college anyway. So, these are some of the ideas, ma'am. Medyo hilaw pa, lulutuin pa namin yung talaga. Pero minamadali na po namin dahil ayaw namin na there will be more kids under this burdensome curriculum which is not responsive to the needs of our students. It's not responsive also to the needs of our employers, Madam Chair.
Well, thanks. But just 2 points. One is, we have the highest number of dropouts at third-year college. I'm not sure if you know that, but nakakagulat, right? At which also means sinasayang natin ng pera sa UACTE. Ibig sabihin, so nakakapagtaga, di ba? Para sa akin, one possible interpretation of that is maybe many did not really intend to finish college. They just wanted to find a job. But at the point where they finished senior high school, they just couldn't find a job. And so they went to college anyway because it's free in SUCs and LUCs. And then once they took 2 years, because 2 years of college makes you eligible for a job. And then, they dropped out of college. So, ang dami natin nasasayang na pera din sa UACTE. So, yun ang mga palaisipan. So, kung naayos talaga natin ang K-12, ang dami natin natitipid na pera pagdating sa UACTE. And at the same time, natutulungan natin ang mga bata to get themselves matched to their dream jobs. So, yun po. And at the same time po, yung kulang sa years of schooling, palagay ko, if we are able to improve our quality tremendously, tingin ko makikita yon ng lahat ng industriya sa buong mundo. And you don't even have to justify why you're only in school for X number of years. If ang PISA rankings natin napakataas, they will not even question why we only have that number of years in school. Next question po is sa SPED, are we still going to insist upon our ILRC, which, to be honest with you, I'm not sure if it works, because in Marikina, I've not seen an ILRC. Meanwhile, ang dami-dami pong SPED na kabataan na talagang nangangailangan talaga ng interventions na totoo. Pasensya na po ha, but it's they don't get properly assessed. Assessment na lang hindi na kayang i-provide, and yun po, wala talaga silang mapuntahan. Ang dami pong PhilHealth benefits. Yung Z benefit, there's a Z benefit package amounting to 50,000 pesos under PhilHealth, but that is hardly used. So yun po, ang daming pera ng gobyerno. Bakit pa tayo gumagawa ng ILRC na hindi ko maintindihan kung ano yun, na hindi naman yata kayang ma-implement?
Thank you for the question, Madam Chair. The ILRC is mandated by the Inclusive Education Law that we convert the existing SPEDs or Special Education Centers, ma'am. The idea there is that the ILRC acts like a sort of like a fulcrum or to serve a large area. Parang in the way the library hub is also meant to serve the schools within a certain area. So they have complete facilities, complete services. But of course, on the ground, hindi talaga nagkukulang ho talaga dahil kulang tayo ng mga professionals, special education professionals. We cannot even diagnose correctly because of the lack of development pediatricians. Madam Chair, this is not exclusive to the public school sector, but it's a private sector. Some of our children had to wait a year, 2 years to see an to get an appointment with the development pediatrician. So again, just like this is one where we need to coordinate with, just like the issue of the guidance counselors, of the science teachers, we have to coordinate with the other education bodies like CHED, so that we give scholarships to the badly needed professions and courses or studies that are needed in our school system, Madam Chair.
So it's going to be as is. No, we're not going to.
We're open, ma'am, to any suggestions. We have to do that, the conversion of the ILRCs, because it is a provision of law under the Inclusive Education Act. But we're open to any suggestions or innovations from the body, Your Honor.
But Madam Chair, well, we don't have one in Marikina that works. I'm just saying that meanwhile, ang dami talagang nangangailangan na SPED, and we also have private therapy centers, small ones, and they all come to me, ask for help. The only thing that I can provide is like the SWD assistance, etc., which is kulang talaga. Meanwhile, there's this huge fund called PhilHealth, and they have Z benefit packages, but then amounting to 50,000 a year per head, which is hardly untapped, tapped because for lack of coordination. So I think that's something that whoever is assigned, kung pwede sana, kausapin nyo, that's a lot of, I mean, there's a lot on my plate. I can do it, but may trabaho din ako. But sana, you, please, that's something that can actually potentially solve your problem.
That's a very good suggestion, ma'am. As for the SPED Center, maybe we can, some of our schools go to Carmona, the district of Congressman Loyola. That's considered a model SPED Center. They have all the facilities, and they started early. They have complete staff, and the ratio of professionals to learners is 1:3, if I'm not mistaken. So it's really very good, very positive. And they even have a little coffee shop where they employ the graduates of their special education, and the city also employs the graduates of the SPED Center. So it's a whole ecosystem, Madam Chair. Not just the school churning out graduates.
Yes, for internet connectivity, you indicated that you needed 9.2 billion. Is that your full, will that allow you to fully connect all your schools? Because right now, how many schools are connected? I believe it's less than 20%. Is 9.2 billion sufficient for 100% connection?
Your Honor, currently we are at 69% of our school are connected into the internet.
Is it 69?
Yes, pero albeit very limited connection. Usually in the faculty room, computer room, or faculty.
Mababa po yung bandwidth ho nun.
Mababa po yung
Director,
karamihan doon. No?
sorry Director kanina sabi mo, 1 computer for 9 students. For the life of me, parang hindi ako maniniwala, sir. Sabi niyo, 1 computer to 30 teachers, 1 computer to 9 students. Hindi ko alam paano niyo kino-compute yan. Is it for only for students that are requiring computer classes and therefore in the computer lab? Because it doesn't sound right, sir? So, okay. Paki-recompute yung number na yan because hindi po ako naniniwala sa datos na yan. So, if you tell me that 69% of schools are connected, parang hindi rin po ako maniwala.
Okay, ma'am. We will...
Kasi sa last time I checked, it's about low 20s.
Low 20%. Sige, ma'am, we
Actually,
will...
tama ho sila, Madam Chair. The computer to learner ratio is 1:23 for elementary. It's 1:8 for junior high school. 1:5 for senior high school.
On average.
That's the computer learner ratio. Doon naman ho sa schools with internet connectivity, tama yung figure po cited by Director Pitagan. Pero karamihan nga, yung connectivity is only limited to the administrative and faculty offices. So it's not the type we envision that there is a computer lab. Parang binibilang na isang room lang, there's a few computers and maybe the principal and their assistant have the internet access. Bilang na po yun sa 69.
Yes, so, no, Sec, I'm trying to offer a solution kasi the ICT is mandated by law to provide free Wi-Fi including public schools. And right now, the balance of the Spectrum Fund is 21 billion. And what we're saying, we've already asked them to commit to us and we've taught them how to actually tap that fund. So we've told them to of course prioritize public schools. Pero syempre sabi ko, dahil idea namin yan, unahin ng Marikina. Di ba? No, but so sir, so they told me about this 9.2 billion, pero sabi ko definitely magkukulang yan. So dapat po again, please coordinate with them. So meron pong malaking pondo to please make sure at wag lang po yung small areas na yan, pero lahat po dapat, yung buong school, yan ang target po natin na lahat po sila dapat mabigyan ng connection. At yun na nga, kung sana po maipakita po ninyo na kaya po ninyo makapag-procure at makapag-deliver ng maayos ng computers, di sana, di ba, mas maiisip po namin talagang makapag-appropriate tayo ng pondo para sa computers. Lahat ng bata magkaroon ng computer and at the same time connection po.
It's well taken, Madam Chair.
Sorry, last na lang po. Are you reviewing your policy in determining MOOE budgets for schools?
Yes, ma'am. There's an ADB study which studied the Bongkodin formulas. As the name indicates, it's a long time vintage because patay na po si Secretary Bongkodin. But the Bongkodin formula took 4 variables: the number of learners, the number of teachers, the number of graduates, into the number of classrooms into account in determining the MOE. So 4 factors lang ho yun. And then may fixed and variable cost ho. The new ADB formula takes into account 27 variables. And so there's a yeah, but what are the 27? Yung kailangan kung may janitor, may wash facilities, may computer. So it's a more holistic index, Your Honor. Yeah,
Yung sa akin lang naman, Sec, is kasi I think tingin ko
tataas ho yung MOE. The net result is tataas ho ang
okay,
MOE.
tataas sana at sana hindi ito ang maging dahilan kung bakit parang napipilitan ang school head na ipasa lahat ng estudyante kasi syempre gusto naman natin sila pumasa pero minsan kasi kahit na hindi dapat pumasa, ipinapasa dahil nakabase sa number of students ang MOOE. So tama ba ako na yun ang isang nagiging factor? Hindi ko alam kung tama yung aking pag-analyze kasi parang nakikita ko na
You're correct, ma'am. It was a factor. But now
parang
it's been
nagiging
removed.
factor,
It's
di ba?
hindi na po factor. You're
so,
correct.
di ba, parang pag nakikita natin na parang yung performance ay, yun, parang hindi nagiging
Say
Yun po.
perverse incentive.
Yes, sana nagiging mas reflective yung nare-reflect yung totoong performance nung. So yun po. So thank you
Yes, ma'am. It's
for
partially reflected. Hindi po in full reflected because hindi kaya nung we proposed it in the 2025 but hindi na reflect. But it's partially reflected in the school MOE because the president gave us 1 day to I had 1 day to review the budget. So that was the change I made to increase the MOE of the schools, Madam Chair.
Yes, isa na lang pabaon for round 2, just one. I asked the NEET scores. I've been asking the NEET scores since way back and finally binigay sa akin a few months ago. If anyone, I'm gonna ask it about the NEET scores. Kung pwede sana, if any one of you had cared to look at it, NEET scores sa NCR for round 2. Salamat po.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am. You want to
Thank
talk
you.
about that? If we could do that for round 2, ma'am, with your permission. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Salamat.
Before we proceed, the Chair would like to acknowledge the presence of Deputy Speaker J.J. Suarez. Next question is from the minority. We have here Deputy Minority Leader B.H. Herrera.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Nandito po ako. Magandang hapon po to the DepEd family. Sexani, hello po. Congratulations. Alam ko napakadami na mo nang nagawa in the 6 weeks time that you're here. But of course, marami pang dapat gawin. My first question, dun sa computerization program natin, are there still schools without computers?
Tinanong ko po yan nung nagpe-present sila in preparation for the budget. Apparently, the statistic of schools with at least one computer is only 41%, Your Honor. That means there is 59% of our schools do not have at least one computer.
Aray ko. So, bakit po kaya, yun ba yung sagot kanina, kaya meron underutilized allotment tayo for computerization of 9.1 billion? I mean, we have a lot of funds set aside for it, but still, we weren't able to distribute our computers.
Yeah, well, we've scaled up, Your Honor, no? So, yung sinabi kanina, yung sinasagot kanina ni Director Ferdy Pitagan, is that's really the most number. We're going to be delivering an aggregate of 44,000, yung 17,000 from 2023 budget, yung 26,000 from the 2024 budget. So these numbers are unprecedented in recent history. So medyo siguro may growing pains dyan. But we'll really try to do the early procurement for next year. So kahit nag-uusap pa ho tayo dito, meron na pong market scoping, advertisement, short of award of these amounts, Your Honor. Talagang sabi ko nga, unahin talaga yung mga kahit isang computer wala. And of course, to look also into the transformer, the electricity, etc., all of these factors dahil I've been hearing reports na may mga schools na binibigyan ng computer, hindi nila magamit dahil wala silang transformer, among others, no, Madam Chair.
Yeah, and through you, Madam Chair. Actually, kami, observation namin since before pa. Siyempre, iba na yung Quezon City ngayon. But ang laging nagiging problema is, number one, may mawala lang na mouse, may masirang keyboard. The whole computer thing won't be able to use na. We won't be able to use it. So, anong balak natin dito, Sexani? And can I have a list of the schools na wala pang computers? And
Yes.
ilan yung computers bawat school?
We will furnish you, Your Honor. And usually may 3-year warranty ho yan sa seller. So it's important also that we choose the reputable brands dahil the after service is also important. That's a factor we took in account when we passed the new government procurement law na hindi lang lowest bidder, pati yung after sales service can be taken into consideration when we bid these things out.
Sec, baka pwede nyo tignan. In Quezon City, when I was councilor, we made computer school on wheels so that nakakaikot sa mga schools, especially those na walang kuryente, pwedeng lagyan ng solar panels yung ibabaw ng mobile school. And then, para lahat sila, we've done this with the ICT as well. I hope this is something that can be explored because in Quezon City before, meron pa kaming schools na wala. So I made computer schools and distributed it in every district of Quezon City. And we go around from one school to another just to be able to make sure na maturuan. Unfortunately, dahil konti pa rin yun, ang natuturuan lang palagi, grade 6 or yung graduating or yung honors class. And I don't think this is fair. Is this something, baka this is something that DepEd can take a look at?
Yes,
Mr. Secretary.
that's a very good idea, Madam Chair. In fact, that's the idea behind the e-carts program. And one e-cart contains 46 computers.
Yeah.
And the idea is it's for the bigger schools. It's going to go around.
Yes.
Yun po. So similar to what you're saying, Your Honor.
We've done that in QC, Mr. Secretary. Baka pwedeng gawin na rin natin sa DepEd, especially dun sa mga areas na zero ang computer labs. And at least yung maintenance kasi nun, isang sasakyan lang, and then yung computers inside, it's very easily manageable.
That's well taken, Your Honor.
Thank you. And my next question, for 2025, may triple increase in the allotment for professional services for job contracts and contract of service. Why is this so?
Maybe I'll turn it over to our USEC for Human Resources. I'm not sure if that's the case. Maybe it's for general human resources because we need to upgrade to fund some of the positions we've created under the career progression law. That's we created Teacher 4, Teacher 5, Teacher 6, and other items, Your Honor. Para nga mas mabilis yung promotion ng ating Teacher 1, 2, and 3. Yun ang nireklamo kaya sila umaalis dahil ang tagal na 15 years, Teacher 3 pa lang sila, tumaas lang ang sweldo nila ng wala pang 5,000 sa loob ng 15 taon. That's why we, with the support of Congress, were able to do the career progression, Your Honor. So anyway, Yusek Willie, with the permission of the body, maybe he can say more about the plans for human resources. There's also a plan of our wish list to rationalize yung ginawa namin sa teachers, yung career progression, gawin din namin sana sa ibang professions within the DepEd because we have 100,000 employees who are not teachers. They are lawyers, accountants, dentists, guidance counselors, etc. And a frequent complaint we get is that, Madam Chair, is wala silang pupuntahan. Kumbaga, may career dead end sila, siguro 1 or 2 promotions lang, hanggang dun lang sila. So it's a challenge to keep all of these people. I'll turn it over to Yusek Willie, with your permission, Madam Chair.
Yusek Cabral.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Your Honor, the budget that we request for professional services actually includes the implementation of the career progression. We include about 6.3 billion that covers 90,000 plus positions for reclassification for the newly created or for the reclassification of positions of T4 to T7 and up to Master Teacher 5, subject to the qualifications, since our direction for 2025 is more on merit-based promotion system. We also are looking at conversion of the existing guidance counselor positions, which is the entry level is only grade 11, which is equivalent to a Teacher 1, but requiring a master degree program.
Madam Chair, if I may, no, kasi parang lumalabas, meron kayong services of professionals for short-term engagements under contract of service and job contracts. Yun yung nag-increase sa MOOE nyo eh.
So that's part of the...
So these are JOs and COS.
So that's a part of the operations of schools, I think, and that's not actually covering.
Ang laki kasi ng in-increase niya, so that's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Because it's 2.3 billion.
Yes.
From 518 from last year.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, Your Honor, there has been a move to completely remove the administrative task of our teachers, and for the implementation of the Department Orders number 2 and number 5, which rationalizes the work of teachers, removing from them administrative tasks relating to procurement and even on property and personnelling, we resorted to hiring contract of service to support the school operation. So that's for 2024, we spent about 817 million, and that's gonna be a recurring expense considering that the number of administrative officers allowed for us to create for the 2025 budget is only about 10,000 positions, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
So itong 2.3 billion is 10,000 positions?
No, ma'am.
So how many yung 2.3 billion natin? Has it been effective getting the administrative... Anong effect niya? Can you submit na lang to this, how,
Yes, ma'am.
the effect of that? Was it effective?
Yes, ma'am. We actually did the clustering of the existing administrative officers among schools within the division, and it's really hard for the administrative officers to perform handling 1 to 3 schools, handling the 1 to 3 schools in terms of the administrative tasks, and that's why we also identified all those schools which are considered outliers. Those cannot be included in a certain cluster. So we find it necessary to create COS positions for them. And that is a recurring, as I mentioned, recurring expense because our shortage for the administrative officers of at least one for every school is 20,638. And in that note, given that the 10,000 position will only be allowed for 2025, we are still short of 10,600 plus na AO positions. So we'll submit, ma'am, the breakdown
the
of
plan
that.
for the long term for this, Madam Chair, kasi kung alam nga naman puro sila JO and COS for the administrative.
We have been making representation, Madam Chair, Your Honor, on establishing at least one administrative officer so that we can actually remove the MOE component for the hiring of COS.
Thank you. Mr. Secretary, through you, Madam Chair, yung isang concern ko yung sa solo parents, baka Sexani can help me on this because in other agencies, hindi na i-implement yung benefits ng solo parents because JO and COS sila. Ano sa DepEd, anong plano mo dito, Sexani? Kasi hindi sila under civil service kasi walang employee-employer relationship, but our law says they are allowed, they should avail of the benefits of the solo parents.
Maybe we'll study it, Bam, if you give us some time and we'll get back to you. But definitely, I was in Congress when we passed that. I remember you were among the authors with Kong Lopez and others. So, if you allow us to take a look, it's not really top of mind at the moment, Madam Chair, but certainly I think fairness dictates that they be also allocated the same benefits, Your Honor.
Yes, please, Mr. Secretary. Pati yung guidelines on scholarships and then for the employees, for the COs and medyo naiwanan po sila. Medyo 2015 yung last memorandum ng DepEd. After nun, hindi na nasundan. Pati yung kanilang mapping kung ilan po ang mga solo parents.
We will work on that, ma'am.
Thank you. And then what's the status of the tech book of K-12, Mr. Secretary? Dahil, syempre, yung hirap per school, yung implementation, iba-iba yung technical vocational na expertise ng bawat area eh. So, limited din yung gusto na, how do you plan to...
It's very difficult, ma'am, to offer, to give our kids, same with the STEM track, it's also very difficult to really flesh it out due to the inadequate facilities. But we're working on it. And as I said earlier, hindi talaga nakakapagtrabaho dati yung mga bata. They have to pay for their own assessment and certification. Tigwa 1.5 po yun kada certification. So mahal para sa mga bata. And pero sabi ko nga 2024 is the first year that the GAA contains that for our DepEd senior high school graduates. So it's ongoing. I've spoken to DG Sec Kiko Benitez on that, and it's moving now. So that is one. And the other challenge is to have better offerings aside from the NC1, the NC2, to move up to NC3 and possibly NC4. Pero it's easier said than done, Madam Chair, kasi mahihirap na yun eh. Medyo advanced na yung and there, as the EDCOM 2 report also says, there is a shortage of assessors nationwide, even for TESDA.
Yes.
So imagine for the wider universe of SHS TVL, mas malaki nga yun eh. So, kung nahirapan ng TESDA, mas nahirapan ho kami. Because a lot of these assessors are professionals. They work and they are not geographically mobile, meaning someone working in Manila is not really inclined to go to Pangasinan or to Iloilo to assess somebody, Your Honor.
Mr. Secretary, baka pwede mong tignan ng mga private technical vocational schools around the areas.
Certainly.
And yan ang dapat kasing itape.
We're
Schools,
discussing a
private
voucher
schools.
system, Madam.
Yes, please.
Madam, where similar to what we do with GASPE.
Yes.
Where there is excess capacity in the private and then they have the assessors.
And they have excess capacity.
Yes.
Kawawa po yung mga private tech box schools natin ngayon. Wala po silang mga estudyante.
Yun po ang,
and then we have a need in the private DepEd. So baka pwedeng
We're hoping for good coordination association with Sec Kiko since we both were in EDCOM.
There's an
together.
association,
Yes.
Mr. Secretary, of the tech box schools.
Yes, ma'am. That's another thing for the education cluster to tackle and set policies on kasi dati may time na hindi nag-uusap po yung educational agencies. Pero these are the types of situations where it would really be helpful and impactful, Your Honor.
I'm very hopeful with your leadership, Mr. Secretary. And then another thing, Mr. Secretary, yung HIV incidents kasi sa mga bata, ang lakas, tumataas. And they said it's because of the boy-on-boy situation in schools. I hope this can be monitored. Otherwise, hindi po siya ma-solve natin. Patuloy po yung increase kasi ng HIV cases. Ano pong trace nyo dyan sa DepEd?
Ramping up our awareness activities and it's part of the curriculum also, yung comprehensive sex education, sexuality education, Madam Chair.
Yun po bang reproductive health in DepEd schools is being done right now?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then this is true in 2023, only 192 classrooms or 3% of the 6,379 targeted classrooms were completed.
I think that's as of December 2023, Your Honor.
Yes.
Yes, that's accurate as of that time, but I think the number is now, Yusek Dancing?
Your Honor, Madam, plus 589 from the 2023. However, just to make mention, I was mentioned a while ago that there's 2,000, that was 2,743 which was built because of a spillover from previous years.
Pero that's still very poor performance, Mr. Secretary. Bahala
Yes,
ka
I
na.
agree. I agree, Your Honor. We haven't done the early procurement the way the DPWH does it, kaya mabilis ang DP. They take advantage of the warm months, the non-rainy months. Kasi January pa lang, nag-award na, tsaka nagko-construct na. So we want to follow the same model, Your Honor. That's why this early we asked the chair, and he's been very receptive, the speaker, they've also been very receptive, the Committee on Appropriations, na we give the lists early, Your Honor. Kami naman, we're very receptive and we want to work with Congress in improving and making a dent into this classroom deficit situation, Your Honor.
What about the low budget allocation for teacher development? Kasi parang nasa ano lang to for this year, nasa ano lang siya, foreign assisted.
That's true, Your Honor.
Why is that?
We should be spending more. There are findings there where we should be spending maybe $1,500 per teacher as a best practice, but we're very far from it. We're at $300 per teacher. So, well, as you know, the needs are many. So, we have to choose our battles, Madam Chair. No?
So this is not a priority as of the moment.
Well, it is a priority because it receives a large amount. It's in the billions, the program, Your Honor. But maybe there's a way of doing it that's more economical, using technology perhaps, and institutionalizing it. And we're looking forward to the innovations to be brought about by the teacher, the TEC, the Teacher Education Council, which we plan to convene this Friday with a new executive director that will set policies for teacher training in the educational system, Your Honor.
And then, lastly, Mr. Secretary, meron tayong earmark revenue for Early Childhood Care and Development Fund. Biglang wala kasing gamit for 2024. Meron pang natitirang 76 billion. Anong 76 million or billion ba to? 76 million for that, and then walang uses.
Million lang ho siguro.
Million, 76 million.
Million lang
Ano
po.
nang plano dito? Bakit hindi siya, wala siyang expenditure program for 2024 and no proposed for 2025?
Meron pong proposal ang ECCD for the creation of construction of ECCD centers. I think that's in the budget proposal, Your Honor.
Kasi it's not reflected here. May I know kung
Well, we'll turn it over to ECCD. Maybe they can talk about their plans. Director Inchong is here.
Yes, the chair recognizes
Yeah.
the chair of the ECCD. Please, ma'am.
Madam Chair, Congressman, we have in our budget
Mike po.
we have in our budget the establishment of ECCD Center, but the NCDC is a co-sharing with the local government.
Sorry?
It is a co-sharing because the local government provides the lot, and then the prepping of the lot, and then the playground, and then but our package is.
Madam Chair, can she speak clearer to near the microphone? We can't hear.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yes, please
Yeah.
proceed.
We have in our budget the establishment of National Child Development Center, and it is intended to cover all the 1,634 LGU, one only per LGU. So, and then that includes, we are now including the provincial. But it is a co-sharing project, Madam Chair, and the lot belongs to the local government.
Is there a proposal, Mr. Secretary? I don't see kasi any proposal from them here in our budget.
For instance,
Parang for
It's on slide
2024.
52, Your Honor. Slide 52, if they can, the Secretariat, we presented it earlier this morning.
Okay.
If the Secretariat could retrieve slide 52, there's a line item, well, in the meantime, Madam Chair, it's the establishment of NCDCs, or National Child Development Centers, for 2025. It's a 489 million.
And wala naman po
No,
tayong...
sorry, it's not 562. It's 317, Your Honor. I made a mistake. It's
And we don't have
317 million for the establishment of child development centers.
And this has been released already to you?
Hindi po, this is for 2025.
2025. What
For
about 2024?
2024, it is 274 million, Your Honor.
And it has been released?
Kayo ba nagko-construct? Kayo ba nagko-construct?
Yes.
It's the LGUs who construct it. The money is released to the LGUs, Your Honor.
Basta at least, alam mo lang, Mr. Secretary, meron tayong 79 million doon. Sayang kasi for early childhood, medyo marami
Yes.
pang funding.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then, on the last note...
With your permission, with your indulgence, Your Honor, we just found out that yung required sa batas na yung 5% gender and development budget, pwedeng gastusin pala sa ECCD. I don't think many, and I heard in my time as a chair of finance, hindi pala nagagastos yan eh. Maraming nare-revert na pondo dyan yung mga ahensya dahil di nila alam saan gastusin.
Yes.
I think ECCD is the perfect place to there's a real need for ECCD on the ground because underpaid po yung daycare workers, the
Yes.
facilities are
Okay.
very rudimentary. So ito po yung sana malaman po ng makatulong po yung komite at saka kami na rin po na yung mga ahensya ng gobyerno na required sa ilalim ng batas na 5% ng kanilang budget kailangan gastusin sa gender and development. Pwedeng gastusin po sa ECCD.
Ako, thank you for that input, Mr. Secretary. Ganun din siguro sa LGUs. Last note na lang, Mr. Secretary, you mentioned kanina yung SPED. Sec Rex Gatchalian was here nung budget deliberations and merong AICs available for SPED children. So baka you can work with him so that sabi mo nga kulang yung mga DepEds and all that. Pwede na yung private DepEds daw to get AICs so that we can assess our special children so that the public schools can really address them. So that's one thing na pwedeng siguro tignan natin, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you very much.
Kaibigan
That's
mo
a
naman
great
lahat yan,
suggestion.
Mr. Secretary.
That's a wonderful suggestion. Thank you very much, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And I'm really looking forward to a lot of accomplishments on our end. Andito lang po kami to support you.
Maraming
Congratulations
salamat po,
again.
Congresswoman Herrera. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Herrera. Next to interpolate is Representative Haresco. He's not around. Let us proceed to Representative Khalid Timaporo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, first, I'd like to ask, since it was mentioned that there will be a sunny future in terms of the department, sunny future, sunny days to come in the Department of Education, whether or not the Secretary will be the Secretary of Miracles when it comes to solving the problems of DepEd. I don't really understand PISA. Have we been that poorly, performing, one of the worst countries internationally since time immemorial, or were these low PISA results just recently?
We've only participated twice in the PISA, Your Honor. And the PISA is of a relatively recent vintage. It was sometime in the 2000s, the first PISA exam. And to the surprise of many, countries like the US, Germany, did not do as well as expected in the PISA exams. And the Philippines joined in 2018 and in 2022 And then in 2025, next year in March, will be our third round joining it. Countries who do well there are Singapore, Japan, Korea, Finland. These are some of the countries which do very well in PISA. And surprisingly, Vietnam also does as well as some of the OECD, the average OECD country, Your Honor. So, and if you look at Vietnam, they don't spend much more than us, sa totoo lang. It's just that maybe they're more precise in their reforms. But again, as I said earlier that it's a test of critical thinking and analysis, but it's also a test of basic reading skills because medyo tricky siya eh. Pag binasa mo siya, parang tama lahat ng sagot, but there is one which is really there are some questions which you really have to read very carefully to get the right answer. And someone who is not doesn't have the facility with language, for instance, would miss out on some of the nuances of the question. And unfortunately, wala pang Filipino version ng exam. Unlike, I think there's a Spanish version, there's a French version. So they have the advantage. Those native speakers have the advantage of taking it in their language. Whereas tayo, we take it in English, man. Filipino ba? Wala pa. Yeah. Yeah, and another factor is that the test is given on a computer, Kong Dimaporo, Madam Chair. And many of our kids are not familiar. First time daw nila yung iba makita. So hindi nila magalaw yung mouse is what I was told. So there's some sort of panic. So may PISA plan ho tayo to attack it because that's one of the instructions of the President to. So we have come February next year, we will know who the 7,000 PISA takers are. And they range from an average of 15.3 months, 15 years, 3 months, to 16 years, 2 months. Yun yung age range ng PISA takers. So hahanapin ho namin, as of now, that universe is 1.6 million in the public schools. So mahirap mag-intervene dahil napakarami. As much as we'd like to give them all a computer and personalized lessons, it's not really in the realm of the realistic. So, but nonetheless, we will make sure those 1.6, we will narrow down those 1.6 million learners. That's the universe for now. They are in around 10,000 schools, possibly less. We're trying to narrow the sample so that we'll make sure those 10,000 schools and below each have some form of computers and some. So we will have a special section for science and reading and math sana to tackle the PISA exam for that age cohort, and that will be narrowed down in January. We will know the 150 schools. So mas madali ho mag-intervene dahil 2 months before the exam, 150 schools na lang. And then again, 1 month before the exam, alam mo na yung schools, alam mo na rin yung individuals. It's 7,000 individuals. Yun, babahayin na po namin yun. Papakainin po namin. Talagang everything they do, parang it's like a bar exam or a board exam. May bar ops or yun yung tinatawag na they're just in one place, they are fed, they are treated very well. Yun po ang plano namin to see. Hopefully we make an increase in our scores given the short runway we have, Your Honor. No? But PISA is it's the problem there. PISA is they always change it, and unlike the bar exam where they give you the past questions, they don't give you past questions because nag-uulit sila ng questions. They give you sample questions, but they don't give you the whole questionnaire. Unlike the bar or some of our other professional exams, it's made available once the results have been issued. Dito po hindi. They're very protective about the exam. So we're looking at ways, and we're studying also what the private schools are doing because yung iba nakaka-score sila ng mataas, Your Honor. But it's something we haven't quite cracked as of yet.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, Madam Chair. And the reason why I ask this is because I've never really heard of PISA, especially when I served as a provincial governor. What we look for when in terms of performance is the NAT scores. Kamusta na yung score ng Lanao del Norte versus Iligan City? How's the score of Lanao del Norte versus Cagayan de Oro or Bukidnon?
We still do that. We still do that, Your Honor.
So that is how we gauge performance. Now, it behooves me why all of a sudden the PISA low performance translates to an education crisis, as if mga bobo ang mga Pilipino. But if you ask around, from I remember, people who hire our OFWs prefer Filipino nurses versus Chinese nurses. In Saudi, they prefer Filipino engineers versus Chinese, Singapore, and so forth na engineers. So I don't think it's such a glum problem or state of our education system, but I'm very happy to see that there is a plan under the current administration, Bongbong Marcos, because last budget hearing, I think it was questioned. The champion or the solution to low PISA scores is the matatag curriculum, but give us 10 years. Something like that. That's what I remember in the plenary. But now we have heard from our good secretary, there is a plan so that we have improved results within the short term. Can I get this again? Did I understand him correctly, Madam Chair?
You're correct, Your Honor. That's the plan. But again, I guess we have to manage our expectations also somewhat because education is a bit of a slow burn, really. The truth be told, no, it's very difficult to teach fundamentals to children, especially those who, for instance, did not receive proper nutrition and whose fundamentals were not as solid as intended. So these are the sort of things we need to work on long term. But at the same time, there are short-term interventions like the Learning Recovery Camp proposed by the House, the Basic Education Committee, 8 to 12 weeks of learning recovery, intensive focus on basic foundational skills, literacy, and numeracy, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, I'd like to ask the good secretary if you can share with us the results of the PISA scores. Is it broken down by region? Can we get that?
We can, Your Honor. We'll just submit to you. Apo.
I'd appreciate that if we can get the PISA scores and also the scores by region. Because ideally, you know, you are only as strong as your weakest link. And as a Mindanaoan legislator, we'd want to be able to correlate the PISA results or the PISA performance to the budget that the region of Mindanao is receiving. I'd like to now ask the Secretary, who are the lowest regions in terms of performance for NAT scores and for the PISA scores?
For PISA, Your Honor, I think the lowest were 9 and 10, regions 9 and 10. Those who scored above average or on the higher side were NCR and CAR, if I'm not mistaken, Your Honor. For the NAT, I'm retrieving it, Your Honor. I'm asking for the data.
Well, there's a simple, what I'm trying to get at, Madam Chair, is how did the BARM perform? Because the Ministry of Education and members of the BARM came to my office one time, I think last year, and they told me that there's so much more of an improvement now under the Bangsamoro Autonomous Regional Government. So I just would like to get that as a confirmation.
Yung BARM, wala na po sa atin, Your Honor, except under the BARM law, they're part of our school building program, but and the voucher program because of the GAA special provision, Your Honor. But I'm very happy to hear about the improved results in the BARM.
So may I get this, am I understanding it correctly, Madam Chair? Even now, since the ratification of the Bangsamoro Organic Law, and we have now a Ministry of Education, the DepEd is no longer conducting and monitoring NAT scores in the BARM region?
We still do them not in the BARM, Your Honor. That specifically, but we don't run the schools anymore. The school superintendents belong to the BARM government, Your Honor.
So in terms of the ranking, Madam Chair, of the BARM, how does it rank in terms of NAT scores and performance among the different regions, administrative regions of our country?
I'm told by Yusek Gonong that it's usually they don't do too well. They're at the bottom, Your Honor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And which leads to my next line of questioning. Me and the good secretary, thankfully for the support of the speaker, I had the experience to work in EDCOM 2. And in one of our first meetings, we had a lunch break. And you know, yung mga media, they'd rather talk to the senators than the congressmen. And I had a good chance to have a discussion with a lot of the experts. And a lot of them asked them about the problem in BARM. One of them say like, you know, like for example, yung mga classrooms, walang estudyante, ang nasa loob lang, mga kambing, yung mga ganyan. And I tell them is, what I tell them is like, maybe you're looking at the problem the wrong way. When you see a classroom, you might see a learning center. But when a politician sees a classroom, it's a voting center. When you ask for more teachers, maybe you ask what you see are educators. When a politician asks for teachers, might be possibly inserting somebody who is part of the Bureau of Election Supervisors. No? Basically, the politicizing of the DepEd family when it comes to because of the general elections, which may ultimately lead to poor educational results. And that leads to my question, Madam Chair, because it's our concern in Mindanao. Because one of the problems of BARM, any problem inside BARM will spill out to the neighboring regions. And during the time of former Regional Governor Mujib Hataman, one of the things he was trying to solve were the ghost students, ghost teachers, ghost classrooms. If you didn't understand my line of explanation, this is where the command votes come from. This is where the one ballpen voting comes from. No? That is how it's tied together. And then Regional Governor Mujib Hataman was trying to solve the problem. And he, quite frankly, he told me he was able to resolve majority of the problem, but there are still pockets within the BARM that still have that issue. So I would like to know from the good secretary, this is the predicament that we have. The BOL has devolved the powers of the president to the Bangsamoro Autonomous Regional Government. The powers of the DepEd secretary is no longer within direct grasp when it comes to the ground. And you have questions like me, questions like Congressman Zia Adyong, who are asking, how are you going to solve the problem of last mile schools? How are you going to solve the problem of too much politicizing inside the region when you have the evolution of powers to the Bangsamoro Autonomous Regional Government? Does the DepEd Secretary still have oversight powers? How can we solve this problem, Madam Chair?
If memory serves me right, Your Honor, we don't have oversight powers over the Bangsamoro Authority. I don't know what the mechanism is. I know there's a national government mechanism where it's the DOF that sits with the BARM government, regional government, and they discuss the mechanics of the block grant and things like that, Your Honor. But I've never had the chance to sit in those meetings, Your Honor. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And my real concern is when somebody came to me, actually, because the BARM has the power of, they have their Ministry of Education. Now, typically, in the time of the Autonomous Regional Muslim Mindanao, I understand, what's happening in there. What surprised me was deviation from our national laws. Deviation even from the Bangsamoro Organic Law. For example, I don't know if it's true, which is a problem if the DepEd Secretary doesn't have oversight powers, is when the Ministry of Education makes its own division superintendent, when the district supervisors. So you end up having parallel teaching organizations or educators within the Bangsamoro Autonomous Regional Government. I hope this will be for the better rather than for the worse. And I state this in this committee so that hopefully it will be take cognizance of by all the stakeholders in charge. And hopefully, God willing, there will be sunny times ahead, especially when it comes to the Bangsamoro Autonomous Regional Government. All of us are concerned about this, and we are all praying for the success of the BARM, and more power to Secretary Sana Angara.
Maraming salamat, Kong Khalid, and it sounds like the perfect test case or test study for the EDCOM, to which we both belong and we share the same committee, the Governance and Finance Committee. I thank you very much, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Dimaporo. Next to ask question is from the majority, Representative Jefferson Konghun.
Good afternoon, Sir Secretary, and good afternoon to the DepEd family. Good afternoon po. Sir, tatanong ko lang po, meron po bang memorandum ang Department of Education na nagbabawal na ang Division Superintendent o ang District Superintendent na makipag-usap sa mga elected officials katulad ng congressman? Meron po ba? nakaraang administrasyon. Meron po ba?
There is none, Your Honor, Madam Chair. Wala po.
Are you sure, Secretary?
Meron ba? Well, everyone here is shaking their head, Your Honor, so there must be none, Your Honor.
Ayun. Kasi po, yun po isang naging problema namin sa Zambales. Sir, yung aming mga officials ng DepEd doon, halos isa't kalahating taon na hindi nakapag-usap sa First District and Second District Congressmen. Pag pinapatawag, hindi nagpupunta, hindi nagpapakita kasi ang nire-reason nila, meron daw silang memorandum na coming from the leadership of DepEd na bawal daw na makipag-usap, no? So anyway, Mr. Secretary,
with your permission, Madam Chair, there is a order which discourages politicization of the hiring processes. But that's far, yun ang closest na nakikita namin na dun sa sinabi po ninyo. Pero hindi naman yun ang sinasabi po ninyo, di ba? There is no such thing as wide as prohibiting speaking to elected officials. Baka mali lang yung interpretation nung order, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
kasi Madam Chair, syempre kailangan din makipag-usap sa atin yung ating mga division superintendent, lalong-lalo na pagdating sa budget kasi nagbababa rin kami ng mga ng mga funding para sa mga school buildings. Second, Mr. Secretary, tatanong ko lang po, ano po ba ang process ng Department of Education, lalong-lalo na sa bibigay ng mga school buildings or pag-aalat ng school buildings at saka mga repair facility, at sino po ang namumuno dito, lalong-lalo na po noong nakaraan?
Meron tayong Undersecretary sa Finance, School Infrastructure, SIF strand.
Sino po?
That is Yusek Densing, Your Honor.
Yes. Yusek Densing, kasi sa totoo lang, marami ako naririnig sa'yo regarding dito sa Kongreso. Ang sinasabi is, meron ka daw favoritism. Hindi, diretsahan tayo. Kasi tulad ka ako, mahina ako sa'yo. Kawawa naman yung district ko. For 2 years right now, hindi kami nabibigyan ng repairs, halos hindi kami mabigyan ng mga classrooms dahil mahina ako sa'yo, hindi kita kasi kilala. Pero pag kilala ka, malaki yung nabibigay mo. Is that true, Yusek?
Your Honor,
Yusek
Your Honor,
Densing, Your Honor.
hindi po totoo yan. It's just the budget was so small. For example, noong 2023, 5.6 billion lang.
It doesn't matter how small. It doesn't matter how small the budget is. Pero ang importante, 'di ba? Kailangan maging fair para sa lahat.
Opo.
Naalala ko last time nagkaroon ka ng parang market something dito na nag-market ka, yung mga kongs nagpupunta sa iyo, nagpapa-approve sa iyo, sinasabi ko ano yung mga problema nila. Hindi naman lahat ng problema nabigyan mo ng solusyon, 'di ba? Siguro yung kung sino yung malakas sa'yo, yun yung nabigyan mo ng solusyon. Pero kami mga mahihina sa'yo, wala kami napapala. Kawawa naman yung mga district namin.
Hindi po. Meron kaming classification kasi na
Yun nga yung tinatanong ko, Yusek, ano yung classification mo? Hindi ba ano yun sa'yo? Di ba prerogative mo yun?
Hindi po. May sinusunod kaming department
I don't believe
36.
so. Nako, Yusek, I don't believe so. So sobrang dami ng chismis sa'yo. Sir Secretary, okay lang ba na sasabihin ko na pakitignan po kung baka nyo mabago ninyo kung paano nyo yung paghahawak, pag-handle ng mga repairs at saka allocation ng school buildings. Tanggalin na lang po sana natin yung prerogative, lalong-lalo na kung ang taong nagbibigay ng prerogative may favoritism. Yun lang po, Secretary. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat for bringing this to our attention, Congressman Kong-Hoon, Madam Chair. And we want to assure the body, the members of Congress, that we will not stand for any sort of favoritism, and we will ensure fairness in the allocation and distribution of resources of the Department of Education, because you are the representatives of the people. Parang namili kami ng favorites namin sa Pilipinas. Hindi po pwede ho yun. Bawat Pilipino ay pantay-pantay po.
Madam Chair, yes. Naniniwala po ako sa integridad at fairness ng ating dating senador at ngayon secretary. Naniniwala po ako na siya yung tinatawag nating tagapagligtas ng educational system ng ating bansa. Kaya Sir, maraming salamat po. At sana po yung konti lang po na boses sa sinabi ko po ngayon, sana mapakinggan nyo po. Dahil ang gusto lang naman po natin is maging fair para sa lahat at matulungan lahat ng mga estudyante natin at lahat ng distrito natin na nangangailangan ng tulong, lalong-lalo na yung ating mga eskwelahan. Maraming salamat po, Sir
We
Secretary.
assure you of that, Congressman Kongun, Madam Chair. We will reach out to you as soon as this hearing is over, Your Honor. Thank you, Madam Chair. And also to the other members of the committee and members of Congress, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Representative Kong Hoon. Next to us question is Representative Bambi Imano.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Maayong hapon, magandang hapon po. Good afternoon to all of us. Madam Chair, wanted really to ask about the SPED, but which was asked earlier by the Senior Vice Chair, because I actually wanted to bring it up for one of the policemen that were assigned to me, the Sergeant Miraflor, has two children that are actually SPED students. But the challenge that they have is they only have one SPED teacher in the school. So when the teacher takes her leave of absence, nobody actually replaces her. How does this work with the Department of Education, Madam Chair?
I'm sorry. I'm very sorry to my friend, the gentleman from Miss Amis. Could you repeat the question because I
understand. I understand.
Yes.
I have this policeman assigned to me.
Two special children.
To SPED students.
Yes.
The problem that they have is that when the teacher takes her leave of absence, nobody replaces her. So how does this work with the Department of Education?
Well, mali talaga yung pool ng SPED teachers, kulang ho talaga. But we're trying to expand the pool by yung training more to be SPED teachers, Your Honor, Madam Chair. So yun yung and siguro creating a pool na kapag may bakante, may pagkukunan ho. Yun ang pinag-aaralan ho namin ngayon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And secondly, Madam Chair, during the previous hearings with the Department of Education, they had this, I think, executive order or a memorandum circular, or I don't know if it was with the Mandanas case, that they prioritize the 5th and 6th class municipality. Will that still be the case, Madam Chair?
Yes, that was a few years ago, Your Honor, but it's no longer the case. I think it's open to all, Your Honor.
That's wonderful news, Madam Chair, because what I have been explaining to people is that the families or the father, the mother works lives in the province, and after studying, they transfer to the city, then they work in the city. Once they become regular, they bring their family to the city, and usually in the poblations, in the municipalities. And that's good news, actually, Madam Chair, for the province of Misamis Oriental, and believing for the whole entire islands of Mindanao. And third question, Madam Chair, I would like to ask Yusek Densing. He went to RDC 10's meeting because he asked for an authority to sign a memorandum of agreement for foreign-funded projects that they were gonna sign and they were gonna implement. And Misamis Oriental was considered to be one of those provinces which will become a beneficiary. May I know what happened to that foreign-funded, Madam Chair, program?
Madam Chair, may we recognize Yusek Densing, please?
Yusek Densing, you're recognized.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, that's the ISRS program to be funded by the World Bank. As of date, the loan agreement is to be signed, expected to be signed this September po.
Signed by whom, Madam Chair?
Signed by the Department of Finance and World Bank. So the loan agreement is still about to be signed.
Okay. May we know, Madam Chair, if the commitment that was made to the province of Misamis Oriental was in that list, Madam Chair?
Madam Chair, Your Honor, it's still the same. There's no changes. What is happening right now is there's just a validation activity together with the UP Center for Engineering, who validated.
Madam Chair, that's not an answer. I'm asking if the commitment made to the province of Misamis Oriental was still on that list, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, yes, it's still there.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Madam Chair, I actually want to manifest also that the good secretary was a colleague in the 14th and 15th Congress, and in the House of Representatives is very well respected, and you are fortunate, the Department of Education family, that you have him as your secretary. When he got elected as senator, Misamis Oriental, when I was governor, was also very fortunate because we were given allocation and bills were and they helped us file our deeded bills in the province of Misamis Oriental. Would like to end, Madam Chair, by saying that I will totally support the budget of the Department of Education. And if there are any move to increase the said budget, count me in, Madam Chair. They have one vote from the province of Misamis Oriental. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. Bye. Salamat. Salamat. Bye.
Salamat, bye. Thank you very much to our dear friend Kong, former Gov Bambi Imano of Misamis Oriental. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Representative Imano. Next question is Representative Jill Bungalon. Vice Chairperson Leng Alonte.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, please allow me to first extend my sincerest congratulations to our very good Secretary Sani Angara for his well-deserved appointment as the Secretary of Department of Education. And also, I would like to commend not only him, Madam Chair, but also the DepEd family for the impressive milestones that they've made in a span of 6 weeks of this new leadership. Sinabi ko po na impressive dahil alam naman natin, maybe sa iba, MOA is just a MOA. Pero para ho sa inyong lingkod, naniniwala ho ako na pag pumasok ka sa isang agreement, ay hindi basta-basta to na ibibigay o napapasukan kung hindi nagtitiwala yung ka-agreement, no? And with that, alam ko na hindi lang sa mga different government agencies na kapag MOA ang DepEd, but more so sa mga private sectors, no, globally. Kaya naman parang gusto kong sabayan si Madam Chair sa pagkanta ng Here Comes the Sun. No, but on a serious note, sample. Masyado kasi tayong mahaba na yung oras. But on a more serious note, this representation is truly honored to be one of the co-sponsors of of DepEd, one of the co-sponsors of you, Madam Chair, to push for and defend the budget of the Department of Education. Not only because the good secretary is an adopted son of Binyan, but more so because I believe in your capability, your dedication, and your sincerity to push for inclusive, accessible, and quality education. And of course, pag-usapan natin, Secretary, na i-empower ang mga teachers. I am very hopeful and confident that the Department of Education will deliver a very impactful programs for education. At with that said, I would like to manifest, Madam Chair, that this representation is fully supporting the budget of the Department of Education, and in the proper forum and time, I would like to manifest my support in giving more budget, additional budget to the Department of Education and its attached agencies, and of course to push for the approval of the wish list presented today. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, to our dear friend Kong, outstanding Congresswoman, outstanding Mayor Kong Len Alonte of Binyan. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you for the manifestation, Vice Chairperson Len Alonte. Next to ask question is from the minority. The chair now recognizes Representative Felimon Espares.
Thank you, Madam Chair, my colleagues and the DepEd family. Good afternoon. Now, I would like to congratulate the appointment of our new secretary, the allies of the cooperative sector, no? And the secretary have got the trust, no, of our sector, and that's why personally I would like to manifest that we support your budget. But then, Madam Chair, would like to have some other questions that it might be lead for the best implementation of your department, because even though I have a lot of some findings and informations here, but then I know, in fairness, no, to your position as the new secretary, might be this will be part of our reference, no, for the improvement of our department. Now, we are thankful, Madam Chair, that the DepEd has this flagship program, the so-called school-based feeding program. And medyo konti lang nadagdag from the previous year, which is around 11 billion. But my question, Madam Chair, is would like to know, ilan ba ang target students for this feeding program? May I hear any from the DepEd family if you have
Yes,
the data?
Kong, salamat po sa tanong. With your permission, may we call Asik Galban, who's been in charge of the feeding for the last 2 years, Madam Chair. May that he be recognized to give the answer of the good congressman as to how many beneficiaries there are.
For 2025 target, Madam Chair.
Asik Galban, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Your Honor. For 2025, we propose to benefit 3.2 million learners. This will include the implementation of universal kindergarten upon the recommendation also of EDCOM to focus on the age bracket 0 to 5 and the severely wasted and wasted learners from grades 1 to 6.
Okay, so the figure, it really covers all those mentioned who are severely stunted and wasted students. So 100% of that are covered for this program. Okay, so that's good, no? And we are thankful for that. So how many days they will be provided for this feeding program?
Following the 2025 NEP, Your Honor, we will be able to provide them with nutritious products and hot meals for 120 days.
Okay, so before ilang days lang ba?
We were able to provide them in the old modality with 175 days covering the entire school year.
So this time, 220.
120 days for 2025 following the NEP. Our original proposal po was much higher. However, we leave it to Congress with regard to the amount allocated to the program.
So the 2024 also 120 days then?
For 2024, it will be this school year, 2024 to 2025, 175 days.
Okay, so it was reduced to 120 only?
Yes, the shift was due to prioritization of a larger demographic focusing on universal kindergarten upon the recommendation of other agencies as well.
So do you think the reduction of the number of days, it will not defeat the program, or do you think we can make this a program, what you call this, na ma-comply, matapos, at saka ma-lift natin yung mga bata from this category?
Madam Chair, Your Honor, we believe that the program at 120 days can still make a dent. However, if it would be possible for us to cover a whole year with an additional amount, that would be favorable to our learners so that we can decrease the gap time between their last day of feeding and their weigh-in.
Sige, so because from the previous medyo 120 days din tayo, di ba? Then naging 175 for 2024 na here come balik sa 120 days. So my concern is might be baka mabitin, maging alanganin. Now, what would be the proposed budget, suppose, if you're going to make it 175 back to that number of days?
Our recommended budget allotment, and it is in our proposal, is 19 billion, Madam Chair and Your Honor. And this will allow us to feed all kindergarten learners plus all severely wasted grade 1 to grade 6 for 175 days.
Okay, so 19 and now just around almost 12, isn't it? Billion. Okay, so I don't know, with our with the committee, and might be consider your request, because this is also very important. Now, my next question is from the previous experience and even report from COA right now. Totoo ba na may mga malaking volume ang delayed, yung mga non-deliveries ng ating mga supply, no? Especially probably the, what you call that, the Nutriband. So, do you know how much yung na-damage na hindi na-deliver at hindi nagamit, no, for this program?
Madam Chair, Your Honor, we may furnish a copy to the committee, an entire list and comprehensive response regarding the possible delays that were noted in AOMs. A lot of these findings have actually already been resolved since the cutoff was latter part of 2023, and our feeding program actually crosses the year. So a lot of these, especially those that are noted to have deficiencies, were replaced without additional cost to DepEd as stipulated in our standard contract.
Okay, so we are hoping na masolusyonan, and then hindi naman ma-prejudice yung ating mga students dito. Now, Madam Chair, the next question is, may mga co-ops ba na nagsusupply for this feeding program?
Madam Chair, Your Honor, yes. Our preferred modality would be community participation, and our feeding program actually is decentralized, particularly focusing on local procurement. So we directly buy from farmer groups and cooperatives. So technically, the school-based feeding program is an economic stimulus when done in our field.
Wow. Thank you, Madam Chair, for that response, and we hope you're going to maintain and continue. Mayroon co-op ba na nag-deliver ng panis or delayed? Para at least in my part, I will be able to know, no? Because it is my sector, and I can even communicate them na wag naman, what you call that, masira yung program. Same time, kawawa naman yung mga bata.
There are some isolated incidents, Your Honor, that there are some spoiled, whether it be milk or food products, and we're trying to limit this. The beauty of it being decentralized is that we're able to resolve it locally without affecting the rest of the program. We'll continue to coordinate with your office.
Okay, so we will just ask that, no, from you.
Yes, sir.
Baka mayroon, then just submit my office para ma-monitor ko din, no?
Yes, ko.
And may we know ilang cooperative ang involved dito. Okay, para at least I have my data. So that's all about on the feeding program, Madam Chair. My next question is with regards to the school canteen, no? Kasi cooperatives man yung halos nag-operate dito. May I know how many sa school canteen in the country right now? Kung pwede, ma-distinct natin kung ilan ba ang cooperatives na nag-operate, co-operated na canteen dito, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, Your Honor, may we recognize Yusek Escobedo. He's our Operations Undersecretary.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Karamihan po sa canteens natin ay operated ng DepEd cooperatives, yung mga faculty associations natin, at yun ay organized sila into cooperatives po.
So do we have the data? How many school canteen in the country?
We will submit to this honorable committee, Madam Chair. Hindi lang po namin dala.
Okay, so and also include also the number of cooperatives operating the canteen also.
Yes po.
Okay. So thank you, Madam Chair. So yun lang ang isang concern natin, Madam Chair. I really support the budget of our DepEd, but my request kanina na kung pwede, bigyan ako ng data kung ilan ba yung cooperatives na participating on the feeding program, at saka baka kasama sila doon na nag-supply ng na nabanggit doon na may mga panis na supply. At the same time, yung sa school canteen, no? Kung ilan sa lahat-lahat sa buong Pilipinas, and then ilan ang cooperatives dito. And also, Madam Chair, I would like to manifest also na kung pwede, kasi yung mga cooperatives has the preference, no, in terms of partnering with the government, the DepEd, on this feeding program. At same time, yung kung paano natin maayos yung ating canteen. And also, Madam Chair, kung pwede, kasi by 2025, another re-accreditation of the cooperatives also, no, who are joining the automatic payroll reduction program, na kung pwede mabigyan din ng preferences yung ating cooperatives ready to serve the teachers, no? Kasi iba ang co-ops rather than danan co-ops operations, no, especially on serving the credit need, because we have a lot of programs, medyo sabi natin na holistic, kasi may mga literacy may financial literacy program tayo. So we are hoping that the new secretary, the new DepEd family right now will be able to consider our sector. So that's all, Madam Chair, and again I reiterate, I really support and increase the budget sa feeding program just in case na mayroon pa tayong pwede dito, Madam Chair, in our appropriation committee. Thank you and magandang hapon.
Maraming salamat po kay Kong Spares for the support, and we pledge to furnish the information he seeks regarding the participation of cooperatives with the school canteens and the feeding program. And of course, we want to also express openness dun sa hinihiling nila dun sa, syempre, pag mas maraming makapag-provide ng serbisyo sa ating mga teachers, gusto po natin yun. So maraming salamat po, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Espares. Next question is from the majority, Vice Chairperson, Representative Joboy Aquino.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And good afternoon, Secretary. Sana magising tayong lahat. No? Medyo inaantok na, mahaba na, Secretary, Madam Chair. Now, didiretsuin ko na etong si Secretary, kasama namin nung 14th Congress. Magaling mag-basketball. Pero 10 taon na nakaraan, tingnan natin kung magaling pa rin mag-basketball kung i-approve niya ang itatanong ko. Of course, no question, I always support our colleague, no, former senator. Now, Senator, Secretary, our city government of Butuan, no, under the leadership of Mayor Ronivic Lagnada, nagkaroon ng memorandum last year with DepEd. The city will provide the lot and the DepEd will provide the building. May MOA po dito sa akin ngayon. Under your leadership, i-continue po ito?
Siyempre po. Siyempre po.
Yes. Very good.
Siyempre po, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Magaling pa mag-basketball, Secretary. Second, there's also an ongoing construction of a high school. It is the biggest high school in my district, Butuan City. And the original building was donated by my father way back in the early 60s. Donated, meaning hindi po nang galing sa coffers ng government. Galing po sa kanyang pocket, no? It is the biggest high school. Now, last year nakapagbigay po ang DepEd again to continue the construction of a new building, 4-story building. Tutuloy po rin ba nyo, Secretary?
Of course, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
3 points for the Secretary. 3 points, maganda yon. Secretary, my last, ito request na lang. Earlier, under the interpellation of Honorable Luistro, may mga iningi tayong mga documents, no? And I believe parang sa kanya lang yon. But I'm also asking that we all be given of those documents that was requested earlier. No, it's like a report of those mga computers, no? Parang status of the computers. If possible, next week, no? Para we can go through it and we can again ask questions before the plenary. So with that, Secretary, you have just won the game. One-on-one natin dalawa. Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
We will comply.
But let me just inform all the members. If you are thinking, even thinking of deferment, I will object. Even you, Rufus.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Joe Boyacino. Maraming salamat, sir. We will furnish as you requested, sir. And I promise you regarding the earlier answers. Yun na yun, sir. Thank you po, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Thank you, Representative Aquino. Before we proceed, the Chair declares for a 3-minute suspension for bathroom break for all of us.
For procurement, umuupo ba ito sa Bids and Award Committee?
Yes, in the past, DO creating the Bids and Awards Committee, yes, we sit in the Bids and Awards Committee.
So gusto ko po malaman, doon po sa Bids and Awards Committee, umupo ba sila dito po sa DepEd Computerization Program?
Yes, in the past, yes.
I ask that, and I would like to raise this concern, Madam Chair, because in 2022, yung pong DepEd Computerization Program in the form of e-classrooms, ito po yung laptops, TV, and charging battery, ang budget po dito is approximately 8 billion pesos. Now, meron pong mga sumaling bidders, no? Dito po sa pag-procure ng laptops and etc. And this was bidded out by 16 lots, but only 2 lots passed with 1 bidder. Now my question is, can I ask for the list of the bidders who joined and participated in this bidding?
Yes, Madam Chair, we could provide you with a list of the people who joined in the bidding.
Now, because, Madam Chair, I have an information that out of the 16, 14 lots were rebidded because the bidders were disqualified. Ngayon, ang tanong po, Madam Chair, pwede po ba malaman ang mga rason kung bakit na-disqualifika ito pong mga bidders na ito?
Yes, Madam Chair. At the time of that bidding, I was not part of the BAC at the time, but I was part of I am the USEC for procurement, so I do monitoring of the procurement. There are various reasons kung bakit nag-fail yung mga ibang lots na yon. Mostly, like all other bidding, yung mga failure to comply with certain submissions of documents, like kulang ng ganitong certification o kulang ng ganong mga documents. Kasi minsan, bidders usually omit mistakes in their submission of do sa bid envelope. So, yung po yung mga reasons usually, not only for this one but for all other biddings, usually yung po yung dahilan.
You mentioned that you were part of the bidding through monitoring. Correct?
Yes. If I'm not mistaken, I can't remember kasi I remember I wasn't yet part of the BAC at that
Okay, pwede mo ba sabihin sa committee ito, ano yung variance ng bidding nila during that time? Yung mga bidders? Yung variance ng amount?
Hindi ko po maano, but I could check the documents and submit po.
Madam Chair, I would like to request the DepEd family to produce and submit to this honorable committee the requested documents. But approximately, do you have in mind what is the approximate amount of the variance?
I cannot recall, Your Honor, about the variance. It's just that they submitted the bids and then...
I asked that question, Madam Chair, because I have an information. During that bidding, ang variance po is 24%. If this is translated into cash, this will amount to 1.6 billion pesos. Napakalaki pong halaga. Now, ang sunod ko pong tanong, since nagkaroon po ng failure to bid, ano po ang sunod na nangyari? Nagkaroon po ba ng rebidding?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I have information, Madam Chair, na yung pong mga na-disqualify ng mga bidders na nabanggit mo na base doon sa mga sinubmit nila, incomplete documents, so nagkaroon po ng rebidding. Ngayon, ang impormasyon na nakarating po sa akin, ito pong mga disqualified bidders ay sumali po ulit sa bidding. And worst, Madam Chair, they all qualified in the bidding, but the variance during the rebidding is only 1%, Madam Chair. Nawala po yung 20% na supposedly na-save po ng gobyerno sa pag-procure po ng mga laptops. Can we know, bakit po yun nangyari?
Well, I can recall, Your Honor, kasi usually pag nagkakaroon ng rebid, not only in this one, as a general concept, pag nagkaroon po ng rebid, the bidders are able to correct their mistakes already. Kasi syempre, nakita na po nila yung pagkukulang nila, nakakapag-sabita sila kung ano yung kulang nung first round.
Yes, but we're talking the bidding of the laptop. So, this is specific. Gusto ko lang malaman. Kasi sayang yun 24% sana ang na-save ng ating gobyerno. Ito po ay nagkakahalaga ng 1.6 billion. So, nung nagkaroon ng rebidding, naging 1% na lang yung variance. So, ano po yung nangyari?
Hindi ko po masabi or hindi ko po alam kung ano yung nangyari kasi po sa mga bidders po yon kung paano sila magbid. Ang aming pong role kasi is i-evaluate yung mga documents. So ang aking masasabi lang by way of, as a general concept is during the rebid, they are able to correct their mistakes. And during the rebid, sometimes prices might have changed. There are maybe many other factors. Let's say if it's imported, there are foreign exchange implications or sometimes customs duties and all that, nagbabago-bago po. There are many factors po, minsan logistics cost and all that. So yun po, I'm just answering based on theory kung ano po yung posibleng mga factors which will cause na during rebid nagbabago yung presyo at usually nagbabago rin po yung dokumento na sinasubmit po nila.
Okay, so nabanggit nyo kanina na you were monitoring of the bidding. Ngayon, pwede ko ba malaman sino po yung head of the procuring entity during the first bidding?
Yes, si Yusek Powa po yung hope po at that time.
Sino po?
Si Yusek, former Yusek Michael Powa.
No, prior to Yusek Powa, sino po yung originally assigned na head of the procuring entity during the first bidding? First bidding po ito
Yes, po.
First bidding.
Yes po, siya po yung during the...
Can you please check your records because I have an information that it was Yusek Glo Mercado during the first bidding. Can we get a confirmation from the DepEd, Madam Chair? And if I may add, Madam Chair, may I also ask, who is the back chairman at that time during the first bidding? I want an answer from the DepEd family, Madam Chair.
Yes, we will be checking the record of the back kung sino po yung back at the time.
Yes, please. Can we do it as soon as possible?
I'm doing
Yes,
it now.
thank you. While waiting for the answers, Madam Chair, I raise these concerns because probably there's an irregularity in the procurement and there are personalities involved at meron pong nangialam dito. Yun pong paniniwala ko. Kasi nagkaroon na po ng bidding, ang hindi ko po maintindihan bakit hindi natin tinuloy.
Sayang po ng 1.6 billion na masisave po ng ating gobyerno kung sabihin na lamang natin na ang laptop is worth 100,000, ilang laptops na po ang mabibili nun? So I want answers, Madam Chair, from the Department of Education kung sino po yung mga personalidad during that time.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm having it retrieved, Your Honor.
Madam Chair, pwede ko na pong tulungan. I just want a confirmation from the DepEd. Ang back chairman during that time, if I'm not mistaken, it was Asek Bringas.
Yes, Your Honor.
Correct? And the undersecretary the head of the procurement entity is, it was Yusek Glo Mercado. Correct?
I will double check about Yusek Glo, Your Honor. Kung siya po yung hope during the first bid versus yung sa rebid. I cannot recall kasi I'm checking, sir.
Okay, so assuming na subject to confirmation, ano po ba nangyari kay Yusek Mercado at doon po sa dating back chairman? Asan na po sila ngayon?
They're currently not connected with the department, Your Honor.
So nabanggit nyo po that they are not currently connected. Ang tanong ko po, sino ang pumalit doon po sa back chairman? Kay Asek Bringas.
Asek Bringas. Sorry, I'm checking, Your Honor.
Madam Chair, people come and go. We understand that. Pag may umalis, alam po natin kung sino yung pumalit. So, I don't know why it's very difficult on the part of the DepEd, especially on the officials, na during those times ay nandun po, no? Hindi po nila masagot directly and simple lang naman po yung tanong.
Your Honor, during the first bid, it is Asek Bringas who was the chair. And during the rebid na minention po ninyo, it's also Asek Bringas who is the chair.
Okay, so settled na po tayo doon, ano? Now, again, si Yusek Glo Mercado is no longer connected with DepEd, correct? Sino po at that time ang pumalit kay Yusek Mercado?
Yung pumalit po bilang hope ay si Yusek Mike Poa.
Yusek
Michael Poa.
Poa?
Opo.
Is he connected to the Department of Education?
No more na.
I don't know. I mean, at that time, as...
Yes, he is the Yusek.
Because he was Yusek at that time.
Yes,
no?
yes, Your Honor.
Pero wala ho bang mga qualified employees or officials na pwedeng pumalit bilang head of the procuring entity? Because if I do understand that Yusek Michael Poa is also serving as the Chief of Staff of Vice President Sara Duterte.
Yes, Your Honor.
Would that be correct?
Yes, it is.
No, my
correct.
question is, wala na ho bang mga qualified officials na pwedeng pumalit as replacement of Yusek Mercado? Because it appears that Yusek Michael Poa is handpicked by the Vice President.
Yes po. At the time po, siya po yung pinili bilang hope, head of the procuring entity. Siya po yung in-appoint bilang head of the procuring entity. Normally naman po, ganun po yung sistema. Usually, the secretary will appoint someone bilang hope. So, yun po siya po yung ina-appoint at that time.
Well, ang hindi ko lang po maintindihan, Madam Chair, bakit kailangan pa kumuha ng tao from the office of the Vice President that will replace?
I'm sorry, Yusek Poa is with the DepEd. Hindi po siya galing sa OVP. Sa DepEd po talaga siya. Opo.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yung po.
So, that is already established, Madam Chair. And now, can we ask the explanation kung bakit doon sa rebidding, naging 1% na lang yung variance? Because the Filipino people deserves to know. Dahil pondo po ito ng taong bayan. Ang pondo po ito para pangbili po ng laptop and other ECLs. So, yun lang po yung aking kini-question
Yes, Your
dito.
Honor. Yes,
The
Your Honor.
possible irregularity, the graft and corruption that is so patent in this bidding. Sa madaling sabi po, Madam Chair, rig po yung bidding.
We will double check on that because ganun po yun nangyari. Nagkaroon ng rebidding, marami naman pong sumali at yun po yung naging resulta ng rebidding.
So, same bidders po ito, ano? Yung una, na-disqualified sila because sabi mo for various reasons. Number 1 doon, yung hindi nakapag-submit ng mga kumpletong dokumento, may mga aayusin. But then again, during the rebidding, sila pa rin ang sumali at nagkaroon ng maliit na lang na variance, no? Imagine from 24% to the 1%. So, yun po ang gusto kong ipaabot, Madam Chair, with this procurement, with this DepEd computerization program, kung bakit ganun po ang nangyari. In fact, may problema talaga ho tayo sa procurement, no? And ang nagtataka ko, kaya nga ho kayo nag-create ng Undersecretary and Assistant Secretary for Procurement para po mapibilis ang pagbili ng mga laptops. But apparently, the record shows, Madam Chair, na sobra ang delay, ang baba ng utilization nyo sa pag-procure ng mga gagamitan. So para saan pa na maglagay ho tayo ng pondo kung hindi po nagagamit sa tama itong pera ng bayan?
Madam Chair, to respond, during the rebidding po, marami pong sumali. Hindi lang po yung sila. We will check po the records kung sino yung sumali during the first bidding and the second bidding. But for sure, during the second bidding, marami pong sumali. Hindi lang po yung mga na-disqualify yung sumali po.
Sige, makikita ho natin yan sa mga dokumento na isusumito nyo po sa Committee on Appropriations. Kasi ang napakalinaw dito, bakit tumas yung presyo? No? Kaya nga nagkaroon na lang ng variance na 1%. So, on to my next topic, Madam Chair. Ito naman po regarding pa rin sa DepEd Computerization Program. In 2023, the allocation for it is 11 billion. And the 2024 is 4 billion. No? And may ini-implement na po kayo na tinatawag na Early Procurement Arrangement, EPA. Can you please tell us briefly what is this EPA all about?
EPA is basically the concept na pwede ka na mag-procure, i-start yung procurement process even before lumabas yung GAA, kaya po siya tinatawag na EPA. So pwede mo siyang i-conduct yung the whole bidding process except yung pag-award. Kasi hihintayin mong lumabas yung GAA bago mo siya i-award. Yung po yung tinatawag na procurement short of award. So that's basically it. So hindi na natin hihintayin na mapirmahan yung GAA by January, as early as August or September, nag-uumpisa na po yung proseso.
Anyway, may nakaligtaan lang ako doon regarding doon sa last natin na pinag-usapan. You mentioned that you were monitoring the bidding, right? And then at that time, nagkasabay pa po kayo ni Yusek Mercado. Tama? Sa DepEd.
Opo.
So pwede ko ba malaman ano ho nangyari kay Yusek Mercado? Bakit hindi na po siya connected sa DepEd?
Ano nangyari kay? Hindi. Ang pagkakaalam ko, yung pagkakaalam ko po is nag-retire na po siya.
How about Asek Bringas?
Si Asek Bringas po,
also resigned, Your Honor. They both resigned from the department, Your Honor. Both Asek Bringas and Yusek Mercado have resigned, Your Honor.
Thank you, Secretary. So, going back to Yusek Mercado, sabi niyo po, nag-retire? Tama po ba yun?
Po yung pagkakaalam ko.
Yun po yung pagkakaalam nyo.
Opo.
Pero may mga balita ho kasi na nag-resign.
Okay.
I stand corrected with the case of Mercado. She retired. It's Bringas who resigned, Your Honor.
It was Bringas. Alright. So, again, going back to Yusek Mercado, ano po ba nangyari? Ulit? Nag-retire?
Nag-retire po.
She retired, Your Honor.
And it was Asek Bringas who resigned.
Yes, Your Honor.
Bakit ho kaya nag-resign? Alam niyo ba yung rason kung bakit?
I think she wanted to pursue other things. She mentioned there's a school, wanted to start a school in Abra. It's one of the things. So I think maybe wanted to move on professionally, Your Honor.
Yeah. So, what is clear right now is that Yusek Glo is no longer connected in DepEd. DepEd. She was occupying that position during the first bidding, no? So I will no longer pursue my next topic, Madam Chair, but I would just like to say na meron pong conspiracy na naganap. Imagine, nagbidding na and it's all favorable to the government. Tapos nagre-bidding, naging 1% yung variance. Hindi po ba yun malaking question sa DepEd family? So, madaling sabi dito, Madam Chair, tumaas ang presyo ng laptop and it is because of conspiracy of the people behind in this bidding of laptop. Probably, Madam Chair, involved dito ang mga nakaupo sa back and of course, yung head of the procuring entity. And I would like to manifest, Madam Chair, that this warrants an in-depth investigation, probably in a proper committee, no, after this budget hearings, Madam Chair. So my time is already end, Madam Chair. I just would like to express my support to the budget of the Department of Education, and in the proper time, I would also support for the increase of the budget of the Department of Education. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Maraming salamat kay Kong Bungalon. Salamat po.
Thank you, Representative Bungalon. Next to ask question is from the majority, Deputy Majority Leader Janet Garin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. A pleasant good afternoon to our DepEd family. Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, marami sana akong katanungan, but I was surprised by what I was hearing from Congressman Jill Bongolan. Madam Chair, sorry na. Bongolan, sorry. Yeah. Madam Chair, nalito lang ako doon, no, because there was mention about this DepEd computerization program. Is this the topic that the Honorable Congressman was talking about earlier? Is this a DepEd computerization program? Yes. So I've known Yusek Glo. Is this Yusek Glo Jumalin?
Jumamil is her middle name. Opo.
Jumamil Mercado.
Opo.
Yes.
Opo.
Okay.
Jumamil Mercado.
And she joined DepEd recently because I knew she was from
From DAP ho.
From DAP.
Apo.
Okay. So it makes me wonder, Madam Chair, Your Honors, why an official, a public servant who has been wanting to serve government will retire from DepEd. So baka mamaya, Honorable Secretary, Madam Chair, naging masalimuot yung procurement process, so much so that reputable public officials will have to resign from office. If I may, balikan ko lang po, Yusek Chan. Sa first procurement, the hope is Yusek Glo Mercado. And the back chair is ASEC Bringas. Tama po ba?
Yung sa hope, I'm still checking, Your Honor, kasi ngayon ko lang siya nire-retrieve pa namin. But if it's not Yusek Glo, then it will be Yusek Powa. Either of the two.
Can you check
Yes,
with your staff?
Yes.
Okay. And in the second procurement, the hope was Yusek Michael Powa.
Yes.
Okay. Ang pangalawa kong tanong, you also mentioned, may sinabi kasi si Congressman Jill na variance. Can you laymanize what variance means? Say, Yusek for procurement.
Yung sinasabi po ni Congressman is parang nung unang bid, ganito yung...
Can you laymanize it? Pwede ba nating sabihin, diferensya sa presyo?
Diferensya sa presyo.
So, ibig sabihin, yung unang bidding mas mura ng 24%. Tama o mali?
I will check on that kasi ngayon pa lang...
Yung check naman, yung previous hearings ng kasi natin sa oversight ng APRO, you always tell us you will check. Can we request your staff to... yeah, can you
Yes, Your
check?
Honor.
Yes. And I hope, Madam Chair, that will not be taken from my time.
We will check, Your Honor, because this issue was just raised
Okay.
now. In the
So
oversight,
when
it
we
was
talk
something
about
else.
24%, I heard the figure 1.6 billion. Tama po ba?
Yun po yung nabanggit
Okay.
ni-
When we talk about 1% variance, magkano po siya?
I'm not sure what congressman, the good congressman was referring
I mean,
to.
you can extract it from the data that was given. 24% equates to 1.6 billion. Now, 1% variance would equate to how much?
I will.
Tama po ba na nasa mga 60 plus million? Approximately?
I will have to check, Your Honor, kasi there are, as mentioned by Congressman Bongalon, there are 16 lots. So we will have to track, there are 16 lots during that bidding. We will have to track kung saan yung variance doon during the first round and the second round.
Madam Chair, the reason why this caught our attention, kasi ang sabi ni Yusek Chan, nagbidding pero may mga kulang na papel. Kaya binid ulit, pero nung binid ulit, nagkaroon na ng compliance. Kasi natural naman, nakakalimutan or nagkakamali minsan yung ibang mga suppliers. Pero Madam Chair, Honorable Secretary, napakamahal naman ng dimensya na ito. Nakalimutan lang yung ibang papel, nung nakumpleto na yung papel, nawalan ang gobyerno ng 1.54 billion. That's a very expensive cost of lapse in documentation and lapse in memory. At nakakagulat, Madam Chair, if we move forward, nakita ngayon dito sa inyong report, because this is the DepEd computerization program. At ang nakakalungkot, ang pinag-uusapan dito is not even 2024. This is discussing 2022 CONAP, which translates to about 9.185 billion, and 2023 budget, which is around 11.4 billion. Magkano nga po ba ang 2024? Madam Chair? 2024 po, DCP, DepEd Computerization Program.
2024.
Madam Chair, to answer the question a while ago, during the original bid and the rebid, ang hope po ay si Yusek Michael Powa na po.
So pareho yung hope. Okay. But then yung 2024,
Yung ano po?
2024 DCP, DepEd Computerization Program.
It's 8.7 million, Your Honor.
Okay, 8.7 million.
Billion, sorry.
Billion,
Billion,
okay.
sorry.
So, Madam Chair, mas lalong nakakapagtaka, pareho ang hope, pareho ang back, nagkaroon ng bid failure kasi kulang yung dokumento ng ibang suppliers, nag-submit sila ng dokumento, ganun ba kamahal ang pamasahe para pumunta sa DepEd Procurement Office, kaya magsasayang tayo ng 1.6 billion? Pangalawa, Madam Chair, bakit po naging ganito? 2022, 9.185 billion yung CONAP, and if you combine 2022 and 2023, it comes out that the obligation is only 50%. Wala pa dyan ang 2024. Understandably, ang expenditure ng 2024 will be zero. Kasi wala pa nga sa kalahati ng 2022 and 2023. Ibig sabihin, hindi minamadali. Madam Chair, Your Honors, I would respect the procurement process. Pero sa probinsya, sa mga paaralan, wala ngang computers, walang kagamitan. Bakit ganito kabagal ang proseso? Was there a failure of leadership? Was there a failure of miscommunication? Was there an attitude of not wanting to deliver services to our people? Because, Madam Chair, sa totoo lang, we are happy that Senator Sani, Secretary Sani Angara is there, who understands the predicament of what the people needs. Kasi dapat may puso rin ang pagseserbisyo. So let me go back. Una, kung pareho lang ang hope, pareho lang ang back chair, nag-bid failure, inulit, naging mahal, at pinakwalify. What transpired in between? It is something, Madam Chair, Your Honors, that makes us think sadyang pinabagal, sadyang hindi ginamit, pero nung ginamit na mahal at ang daming pasikot-sikot na nangyari, which actually result to zero actual implementation based on the report of the Commission on Audit. Because it says ICT packages physical accomplishment. Ibig sabihin, nakita, naramdaman, nagamit ng taong bayan. And the result for 2022 is 0. 2023, 0. Madam Chair, Your Honors, pagka gusto nating hindi magka-Alzheimer's at dementia, kumakain tayo ng 2 itlog araw-araw. Pero itong 2 itlog ng DepEd, and this is not during the time of Secretary Angara, 2 itlog na pwedeng maging itlog ang grades ng ating kabataan. And Your Honors, I'm really sorry, but this is something that should not be laughed at and taken for granted. We keep on complaining about poor quality of education. We keep on complaining about budget. Pero andun yung budget eh. Andun yung bidding eh. Nag-bid failure, naging mahal, nawala yung mga tao. Nagkapalitan, nagka-resign. And ngayon, we are now faced with a 0 physical target and physical accomplishment. May we get the wisdom of Yusek Chan on this?
Yes, Your Honor. I will be asking the program end user kasi sila po, when you say 0 implementation, I think you're referring to the delivery, the actual implementation on the ground, and they are in the, as the
yes, it says physical accomplishment. Quantity for 2022, 0. Quantity for 2023, 0. Natural, percentage, 0. Napakasakit po, Madam Chair, Secretary Sani. Gusto ko po yung itlog bawat umaga pangontra sa Alzheimer's. Pero kung itlog para sa mga estudyante ay hindi po katanggap-tanggap, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair.
Okay. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Your Honor. Doon po sa DCP from 2022, 2023, and 2024 fund years, hindi po tayo 0. In fact, sa 2022 po, meron po tayong 4,067 packages, 91.47% nito na-deliver na. At yung pong STV natin na pabra sa public schools, na 337 packages, 309 nito o 91.69% na-deliver na po. At yung laptop for teaching and laptop for non-teaching, 100% po na-deliver na just for the fund year 2022. Tapos
Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, yeah, I'm really sorry, no. Maganda pong pakinggan, sir, yung iyong explanation. But documents from the Commission on Audit says, out of the 16 lots awarded and are scheduled to be delivered by April 2024, while the remaining 13 lots are scheduled to be delivered May 2024. And this is referring to 2022 procurement. Ang ibig niyo pong sabihin, na-deliver na recently dahil nagkaroon ng oversight hearing ang Committee on Appropriations.
Ma'am, hindi ko po masagot kung dahil yon sa Oversight Committee, pero hindi po tumigil yung ICTS na may-ari ng program into fine-tuning kung ano man po yung DepEd computerization program.
But for the record, Madam Chair, it's a 2022 budget.
Yes.
Initial delivery happened in April and May 2024. Mas mabilis pa po ang pagong mag-deliver, Madam Chair. I'm not referring to you actually, sir, but I'm referring to the whole system and the possible lapses in leadership. And we're putting this up on the table simply because we believe that Secretary Sani Angara and the DepEd family can solve these problems para hindi na po maulit.
Yes, thank you po for that note. Ma'am, yun pong ating DCP 2022, ang contract po niyan is December 28, kasi tumawid po siya ng 2023, naging continuing po siya at na-deliver na po siya as of June 26, 2024.
Kaya ang tanong, Madam Chair, bakit po tumawid? Bakit matagal? Bakit palaging bid failure? Bakit nagmahal?
Ma'am, yung I was onboarded by DepEd January 2023 as ICTS Director. Nung dumating po kami, hindi pa po nagagalaw yung fund ng 2022 kasi ka-onboard lang po ng team ni VP ng July. So we have to recalibrate yung DepEd Computerization Program. Magbibigay ba ng computer laboratory o e-learning classroom na lang? Tapos noon pong nabigyan kami ng go signal to recast it as e-learning. So we have to conduct the market survey again.
Sir, with due courtesy,
Opo.
maganda naman pong sabihin, nire-recalibrate at pinag-iisipan nyo. But these are programs embedded in the 2022 budget and the 2023 budget. That is not the time to plan what programs will be implemented by DepEd. Ang ibig sabihin nun, ando doon na napondohan na ibig sabihin, hiningi nyo at kailangan ng mga schools. Because I believe IT is the way to move forward. So my question is, bakit nagkaroon pa ng intensyon ng palitan yung nasa budget na? That's technical malversation, Madam Chair, right? Hindi na natin pwedeng baguhin yung pondo na ando doon na. So dahil sa desire to change the budget and the program, we are in this mess na nasa 2024 na tayo at magto-2025 na tayo. Nagri-ring na yung bell, Madam Chair, pero hindi ko pa rin makakalimutan na kung tinitingnan ko ang DepEd Computerization Program ay panay itlog ang ating naha-harvest.
Ma'am, if I may be allowed to answer.
Yes, quickly, please.
Ayan, quickly. Ma'am, yung 2022 nga po, ang sabi namin, we have to recalibrate, refocus, reconfigure because of what happened in the DCP in 2020 and 2021. The guidelines was in 2010, so we have to revise it to reflect the needs of the time in 2023. Tapos ma'am, to answer your question, yung 2023 fund year at 2024 fund year ay bili na rin po natin yung in-mark for DCP. In fact, for 2023, we have 96% obligation rate, and for 2024, we have 86% obligation rate already. So, nung earlier po ng later part ng 2023, naubos natin po yung continuing 2022, at pagpasok po ng 2024, ay isinalang po yung continuing 2023 and the current fund year 2024. Kasi we subscribe to the observation of Your Honor na talagang kailangan yung technology sa loob ng classrooms natin. Ngayon, ma'am, ang lahat ng ito ay procured and ready for delivery. In fact, may mga nade-delivers na po tayo.
Madam
Thank
Chair,
you po.
last comment lang po, kung pwede lang. Well, I do respect the time. Very last comment, Madam Chair. My records contradicts the input of our good official here. No, sorry lang talaga, sir, no? Yung delivery obligation na 96%, disbursement na 98%. But all of this can be answered if we have the proper documents. Madam Chair, I don't have the luxury of time, but may I request the committee that the DepEd furnish this August body a copy of all the bid documents for bid number 1 and the failed biddings, bid number 2, including the cost of each, the items procured, who are these contractors na kulang-kulang yung papel pero yung naging kumpleto na yung papel ay naging mahal, and of course, the processes that transpired 2022, 2023, and early part of 2024, so that this mess in the DepEd computerization program will not be repeated, Madam Chair. Kasi masarap ang itlog, pero kung yung itlog ang binibigay natin sa klase ng edukasyon, ay hindi po karapat-dapat para sa mamamayang Pilipino. Salamat, Madam Chair and Secretary Sani Angara. We know that every white hair in your head is a symbol of wisdom. Wisdom and the desire to cleanse the system that has been lagging behind. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much to our friend from Iloilo. Thank you for the increase, and we will furnish the documents she requested. And mahilig din po tayo kumain ng itlog, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Garin. Next question is Deputy Majority Leader Jude Asidre.
Thank you, Thank you, Madam Chair. Magandang hapon po, Secretary Sunny, and congratulations on your appointment. Dapat magtatanong po sana ako tungkol sa alternative learning system, pero baka sa second round na lang, para lang hindi maputol yung ni-raise na mga questions ni Congressman Jill at ni DML Janet, Madam Chair. Tanong ko lang ho, ganun po ba kalala ang problema ng procurement ng DepEd for it to be able to create a Undersecretary for Procurement? Because right now, you're the only agency na merong USEC for procurement. USEC at ASEC pa, tandem pa. Madam Chair.
Your Honor, the strand was created before my time. It was during the time of DP or of... it's the time of the Vice President, Your Honor, in the last 2 years. So I think there were serious issues with procurement. So they wanted to have a dedicated strand for it. And para matutukan talaga yung mga pagbili dahil napakalaki ho ng mga kontrata, talagang masalimuot po yung bidding. And even with the dedicated USEC, they're still not error-free or hassle-free, Your Honor, as you see.
Kasi ho, kanina pa ho yung lahat ho ng pinag-uusapan, mula dalawang seatmate ko po, si Congresswoman Jinky, si Kong Janet, we're all talking about the same thing, yung DCP project, yung DepEd, the computerization project. So, I'd like to, just to review the timelines. The position were created in 2023, Madam Chair.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then the first to be appointed was as Undersecretary of Procurement
Yusek Chan,
is Yusek Chan.
Opo.
You the Undersecretary.
Yes.
The Assistant Secretary, Madam Chair, was?
It used to be ASEC Romero, but he's now the USEC for legal, Your Honor.
But
Madam
before
Chair.
ASEC Omar,
Yeah.
wala.
He was the first ASEC for procurement, Your Honor.
Okay. But when you became ASEC for legal, who replaced you?
If I may, Madam Chair.
Yes,
I was replaced by ASEC Monsayak for as ASEC for procurement, but it wasn't an immediate replacement, Madam Chair.
So when did the Madam Chair the replacement take effect po? If just to clarify, the reason I'm asking, Madam Chair, is because in my opinion, in my humble opinion, we really have to review why a variance of 24% eventually became 1% in the second in the rebidding as mentioned by Congressman Bongalon, and I think I could follow from the present. It makes sense with the presentation earlier kanina ni Congresswoman Jinky Luistro. So we just want to make sure that the changes in personalities during the middle of the bidding somewhat affected the results. So ASEC Ron Munsayak became ASEC for procurement when, Madam Chair?
In November of 2023, I'm told.
November of 2023. This was after the resignation of Yusek Humamil, because I remember, if I remember it right, this was after the budget hearing in the House, and I remember Yusek Humamil and other USECs and ASECs, those who were appointed, those who are not, and were released, were replaced, I believe. Is this a correct recollection, Madam Chair? I think there were a number of USECs and ASECs who were replaced in November of 2023.
Tama ba? Sino? Mercado and...
Mercado and a couple others. And that a new team had to be appointed to replace them.
Yes.
Maybe we can ask the...
Yeah.
Maybe the DepEd family
Yeah,
can spare the secretary.
Yeah.
I'm looking around.
You have better recollection, I believe.
No one seems to want to answer, Your Honor.
Mr. Romero, you may want to answer.
Yes, if I may, Madam Chair. If the question I understand is who were the previous execom, we formerly had Yusek De Castro and Asek Nograles for legal. We also had former Yusek Ablan and former Asek Arnuco for administration.
And then Yusek Humamil.
Yusek Mercado, sir, yes.
Mercado.
Yes, sir, also.
And they all resigned almost at the same time, relatively the same period.
No, negative, Madam Chair. The first 4 officials, I believe, moved on earlier. And then Yusek Mercado much later.
Because I remember the Yusek Ablan and the rest, Madam Chair, were still here with us during the budget hearing. Then after the budget hearing, all of a sudden, when we were trying to make our follow-up, they were no longer connected with DepEd. Well, you don't have to anyway. At least we are all in agreement, the same paper on that. My only hope is that there has nothing to do with the issue of the confidential funds that were discussed during the budget, and the resignations were not in any way connected with that, Madam Chair. Not necessarily. Because it's the same period eh.
Would you like to comment on that, Yusek Romero?
Only if you wish to comment on that.
Only to say that we have no information as to any relation, Madam Chair.
Kasi it's interesting, Madam Chair, the replacements happened during that time, also in the middle of the bidding. I mean, after the first bidding, the failed bidding, and then the rebidding, and then eventually the ASEC for procurement was appointed. Well, ASEC Monsayak is also the same Ron Monsayak, who is the spokesman of the Office of the Vice President before he was appointed. Madam Chair?
Yes, Reynold Monsayak, Your Honor.
Okay. And then the POA, the Hope who replaced Yusek Mercado is the former senior Yusek POA?
That's correct.
Who is the spokesman now of the Vice President?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anyway, was there any changes in the specifications of the items that were bidded that warranted probable change, the increase in the prices?
There was no change, Your Honor.
So if ever there was a change in the prices, it cannot be attributed, Madam Chair, to a change in the specifications concerned of the concerned items.
No change in specification. We will look into the variance na binanggit po kanina.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. One last point, Madam Chair, on this topic, no. In the DCP, the 2023 allocation amounts to 11 billion. And the 2024 allocation last year was 4 billion. And based on the records, they were bidded together as an early procurement arrangement. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct, Your Honor.
So, may I know if the bidding pushed through and was successful?
Yes,
Madam
Your
Chair.
Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
Now, I'd like to check lang, no, because I'm not an expert really with procurement. But is it okay? Is there no violation that we are bidding the 2023 allocation as early procurement, even if the period has already passed the EPA period?
Your Honor, to be accurate, hindi siya talaga naging EPA at that time kasi hindi kami umabot. We actually did the bidding January na. So, hindi siya technically EPA.
But they were bidded together with the 2024 4 billion.
Yes, that is correct, Your Honor.
The 4 billion was not also under EPA.
No more na. No, not anymore.
Now, was there any savings that the government got from the...
Yes. Yes, there are savings generated from that particular bidding.
How much would that be, Madam Chair?
Your Honor, the savings for DCP is 218 million for 2023 and 178 million for 2024.
And may we know the status, Madam Chair, of this delivery? Of the delivery of this classroom sets?
Sir, the delivery for 2023 and 2024 are ongoing. For 2023, for ELC, nakadeliver na po tayo ng 7.67%. For Smart TV, nakadeliver na po tayo ng 8.93% for 2023 funds. For 2024, it's for ELC, sir, nakadeliver na tayo ng 3.44%. And for Smart TV, nakadeliver na tayo ng 4.49%.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Madam Chair. You know what? To end na lang, no? Kasi Secretary Sani was when he was chairman of the House Committee on Higher and Technical Education, I was actually his permanent representatives to all the SUCs in Eastern Visayas. So I've worked closely with him for a number of years. And I know him to a very competent and capable Secretary of Education. In fact, I'm not going to say congratulations, sir. I would like to say thank you for accepting the challenge. My only hope is that the leadership of DepEd also would provide him the fullest support, especially kung may mga problema with the previous leadership. Let's give him naman the space to really create sustainable reforms. And rest assured, Secretary, Madam Chair, that the House will stand strongly by him in instituting these reforms, because it would be a great disservice to the country, especially if, with regards to our already limited education resources, are not maximized and used optimally to benefit the present and future generations. That is all, Madam Chair, and thank you for the opportunity to propound questions.
Maraming salamat kay Honorable Isidre, and I recall those days. It was a very hardworking representative to EVSU and all these Samar State and all these other state colleges. Thank you for mentioning that, Your Honor. And we will furnish the documents asked for.
Thank you. Madam Chair, very quick clarificatory question. One
Quickly,
question,
please.
quickly. Yeah. Madam Chair, can we ask the DepEd family and Yusek Chan, kasi ang lalim kasi ng English ni Congressman Jill, ang ibig po ba, can we say, synonymous to variance is actually overpricing?
There is no overpricing because all the
No,
bids
are they
within the
synonymous?
APC. No,
No.
it's not.
Are they related?
No.
If they're not related, how come yung 1.6 billion na naipon sana na savings ay naging 60,000 na lang? So how do we call that?
We will check on the 1.6 billion kasi we will have to analyze kung ano yung mga naging bid. We will have to check.
So it's the difference, okay. Variance means the difference of the prices between two bids. So if we translate it, can we say that the possibility, I'm not saying direct accusation, the possibility of overpricing is there as seen by the variance? Just laying that down in the table, Madam Chair.
Number one, because the bids were within the ABC, and number two, we have the market survey to check that there is no overpricing because the bids were within the...
Okay. So ibig sabihin, Madam Chair, umakyat yung ABC.
No, hindi po umakyat yung ABC. The ABC remained the same.
The ABC remained the same. The earlier bid was lower.
But we will check on that. Yes,
Okay.
maybe it was
So,
lower.
Madam Chair, just to reiterate, the ABC is the same. The first bidding ay mas mababa. Yung pangalawang bidding ay masyado nang malapit doon sa ABC. I rest my case, Madam Chair, and I would look forward to the documents that will be provided by the DepEd family.
Thank you very much for that quick interjection. Next to ask question is Congressman Adrian Amato.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Good afternoon po sa inyong lahat. Na-intriga lang ako kasi kanina laging sinasabi na nangailangan daw i-bid ulit because may mga deficiencies sa documents. Is that true, Madam Chair?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it, kasi paulit-ulit is it possible to know kung ano yung mga deficiencies na yun sa documents?
We will check the records, what happened in that bid.
Yes, can you give the committee
Yes, yes, Your
kasi usually pag may mga bid yan, may mga deficiencies, nakalista yan specific, di ba?
Yes, that is
Kasi
correct.
na-curious ako anong klaseng documents yon na pag na-supply, sa taas yung presyo, di ba? Napaka-weird. So yung sa computerization po yung pinag-usapan kanina, pero earlier, napag-usapan din yung underutilized funds for textbooks. Tama po ba yun?
Yes, Your Honor.
So yung pag-usapang figures, so lumalabas na parang 66% ng amount hindi na utilize. Tama po ba yun? So gusto ko lang po sanang hindi ko maintindihan kasi ako, I represent a district that is mostly poor, 56% below poverty line. Hindi ko maintindihan ang mga bata walang textbooks. Akala ko naman wala tayong pondo. Meron pala. So hindi ko po maintindihan anong klaseng katarantaduhan ang nangyayari. Bakit nagsasuffer ang mga bata? Kasi po kung wala tayong pondo, maintindihan ko Pero bakit po, DepEd, bakit po meron naman pala? Pero kasi lumalabas kasi ngayon, sa procurement nyo, laging may ganun Wala nang computers dumating, textbooks. At the end of the day, who suffers? Okay lang sana dun sa mga bata na may kaya. Kasi pwede nilang gawa ng paraan yun Pero yung mga bata, mga estudyante naming mahihirap, wala na Wala nang magagawa So, again, i-release ko ang kakulangan ng classroom. Short kami ng 800 classrooms. Sa buong Pilipinas, short ng 160,000 classrooms. So, ano pong nangyayari sa atin? Akala ko bang education is supposed to help our kids so that they will succeed in life para naman yung pamilya nila umangat naman sa buhay. And here we are, parang pinaglalaro natin yung future ng mga bata. May I ask, pwede po ba itong matama?
Your Honor, talagang mukhang nagkakaproblema sa procurement talaga sa building, and we are committed to address all of these and deliver our resources on time. Kaya paulit-ulit kung napansin po ninyo Your Honor, Madam Chair, paulit-ulit namin sinasabi yung early procurement activity. Kasi nga in the past talagang inaantay talaga mapasa yung General Appropriations Act bago kumilos. Kaya nagiging atrasado na po at may hinahabol lagi. Tulad ngayon, yung computers di pa na-deliver, yung mga textbooks still in the process of delivery, Your Honor, Madam Chair. Pero yun nga, committed kami na hindi na sana maulit ito next year sa pamamagitan po ng early procurement activities.
Madam Chair, nakita ko rin dito sa documents na sinubmit ng DepEd na meron silang wish list na additional 30 billion para sa additional classrooms. And I'd like to reiterate na ang kakulangan natin sa classroom sa buong Pilipinas is close to 160,000. Madam Chair, is there a way na increase natin yung pondo natin sa classrooms? Kasi hindi, parang hirap. Pinag-uusapan kasi natin yung learning environment, pinag-uusapan natin yung computerization, pinag-uusapan natin yung textbooks. Pero kung wala kang classroom, even if you have the best system, even if you have the complete books, complete computers, if wala kang classroom, what kind of environment do we have? And again, I'd like to emphasize that I've never heard DepEd push for a big budget sa classrooms. Baka naman konting push naman kasi para may konting points for effort, di ba po? Kasi lagi na lang compliance. Samantalang pag nag-ikot kayo sa mga barangay namin, yung mga bata kawawa, nandun sa ilalim ng lilim ng puno, nagkaklase. Pag ulan, imagine niyo na ano nangyari pag umuulan. Kung hindi ba nadudurog yung puso nyo, ewan ko na lang kung ano. Wake up call lang po sana sa lahat na po. Pinaglalaroan natin ang future ng mga bata natin. Tapos ito po, Madam Chair, nagtanong ako sa RD ng DepEd kung ano yung classrooms na nakalagay para sa district ko. Binigyan niya ako ng listahan. Tinanong ko, ano, funded na ba to? Funded na ba to? Yes. Nagtuwa naman ako kasi ang dami. It turns out, hindi naman pala funded. Sila mismo hindi rin nag-uusap eh.
We'll make sure, Your Honor, we'll coordinate with you. We pledge to be fair in the distribution of classrooms, Your Honor. Pagbigyan nyo sana, dahil bago pa po kami, give us a chance to show. Ipakita po namin yung na makaka-deliver ho kami, Your Honor.
I'm so sorry, Secretary, na medyo nagpahinga ako ng naglabas ako ng sama ng loob kasi alam kong bago ka pa lang and alam kong kailangan mo ng milagro dyan para maitama lahat. Pero nakikiusap naman po sana ako sa matagal na sa DepEd. Bigyan naman natin ng konting pagmamahal ng mga Pilipino, ang mga anak natin, ang mga apo natin. Iayos naman natin. Kasi hindi lang sa walang pondo eh. There's something terribly wrong with the way things are done. May pondo eh. Wala namang, imagine textbook, 1/3 lang. Paano na kami malalayo? Mahihirap namin mga...
Yes, Your Honor, we commit to make out of the ordinary or better than what we've done efforts, Your Honor. We really, in each meeting, we really try to, in all the presentations where we see the low obligation rates, hindi pa nadi-deliver, narinig namin, medyo, ano din kami, we're very concerned and hindi pwedeng magpatuloy ho ito. So, babaguhin ho namin yung sistema, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, in support of the miracle that the Secretary will try to do sa DepEd, may I suggest na yung nakalagay sa wish list nila na 30B for classrooms, pwede bang ibigay na lang natin, Madam Chair, kung kayang taasan. Kasi kahit anong gandang sistema, pag walang classroom ang mga bata, wala talaga eh. So maybe we can come up with a 3 or 4 year plan wherein we can cover all the deficiencies sa classrooms. Kasi kung walang classroom, subukan nga natin, mag-session tayo, araw-araw, walang building. Di ba? Thank you very much po. That's all.
We will take note of the manifestation of Representative Amatong. Next question is Vice Chairperson Benabante.
Ako na pala.
Sorry.
Ako na ba?
My bad. My previous pa pala nakalisa. Sorry, Kong. Another member will ask question is Congresswoman Jinky Luistro.
With the indulgence of the Honorable Abante.
Yes, please.
I wish to direct this question to the Program Implementation Director, please. Kanina po, I repeatedly ask you, who causes the delay? What causes the delay? You keep on saying you prioritize 2022. I wish to ask now, with all the revelations of the Honorable Bongalion, why did you not bother to volunteer these informations? You see, 16 lots were bidded, only 2 were awarded, the 14 were rebidded. Second, the variance from 24% to 1%. And then the change in officials. These are all material. And the reason for the delay that I asked from you this morning. Why did you not bother to volunteer these informations? Is this another attempt to suppress information?
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Ma'am, kanina po nung sumagot ako sa inyo kung bakit na delay, sinabi ko po yung change of leadership. Binanggit ko po yon. Yung pong pag-strategize.
Yes, the change of leadership is a common knowledge from the previous to the current secretary. However, these are material facts which you should have volunteered. When I repeatedly ask you, what causes the delay? Who causes the delay? This is not simple changes that went through in the Department of Education. Nag-ulit kayo ng bidding? Ibig sabihin, inulit nyo from publication from step 1. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am. And I'm very sorry kung hindi ko po nabanggit yung ang diniscuss ko po kanina ay yung change of leadership and the reconfiguration of the DCP project. Na ngayon, ma'am, doon sa procurement, tama po yung sinasabi ni Congressman na nagbidding, tapos meron lang pong nanalo ng mga lots, tapos po nag-rebid. Kaya din po, binanggit ko din po yung kanina na kailangan
Madam Chair,
namin
if I may interrupt, I wish to manifest my concurrence to the observation of my esteemed colleagues, the Honorable Bongalion, the Honorable Garin, the Honorable Asidre, and even the Honorable Amatong. And I therefore respectfully invoke, Madam Chair, the oversight power of the Congress. Thus, this representation respectfully move for the issuance of subpoena duces tecum in order to require the office concerned to produce all the bidding documents 2022, 2023, 2024, including the acceptance of the end users. And I wish to know also the feedback of the teachers. Because I surmise na baka itong dineliver ninyong mga computer are not in good condition anymore. I wish to manifest as well, Madam Chair, that if we are able to establish findings based on the documents to be submitted to us, then I recommend that we initiate a separate investigation on this. So move, Madam Chair.
We hear a motion duly seconded from the members of this committee to issue a subpoena for all the documents. And by virtue of the oversight function of the committee, there any objection? Hearing none, the motion is carried.
Madam Chair, I just wish to manifest that the recommendation to conduct a separate investigation is in order not to compromise the budget process of the Department of Education under the new secretary, with whom I wish to express hope that we will be able to find ways to be able to address the delays and the irregularities which we have established through this budget briefing, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you to Congresswoman Luistro. We will cooperate in furnishing documents. We pledge that, Your Honor, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Representative Luistro. The next to ask question, we go now to Representative Abante.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Magandang hapon po, Secretary Sani. Well, since we were together in the House of Representatives many years back, I've always been against the reproductive health law. I fought that vehemently during those times, and it was approved and I was no longer in Congress, and I have received, the committee has received a good number of letters, Madam Chair. For example, like the intercessors for the Philippines Incorporated, questioning the what DepEd term as the comprehensive sexuality education. By the way, is the Maratag curriculum still the motto of the DepEd at this time now that you are the new Secretary of Education, Madam Chair?
It's not so much the motto, Your Honor, but it's the name given to the curriculum, Your Honor.
And you will continue that?
Well, I didn't want to disrupt things because ang sabi sa akin, kada secretary bago yung curriculum. Pagka ginawa ho natin yun, it's further disruption to our learners, to our teachers, because they have to relearn things. So sabi ko, it's best that we come in, since we're coming in midterm of the president, gawin natin yung minimal disruption and we try to, it's like mounting a horse mid-stride, Your Honor. Sabi na, let's do as little disruption, but at the same time, let's maintain flexibility as to pagdating dito sa matatag, na during the questioning of Congresswoman Castro, she raised some valid points regarding teacher concerns. Ayun, that prompted us to issue a department order to inject flexibility as to the teachers, the period of teaching, or the period for certain subjects, Your Honor. May flexibility tayo doon. So yun yung mga nakikita nating that's how we can make the matatag curriculum more responsive to our learners, Your Honor.
Okay, and Madam Chair, is the comprehensive sexuality education, or CSE, within the Maratag curriculum? Was it put into that, Madam Chair, Mr. Secretary?
It's integrated into the K-12 curriculum with an age-appropriate approach. It is supported by adolescent reproductive health services, Your Honor. So sa K-12 siya nakapasok. So recent developments include the launch of the OKY mobile app with UNICEF for menstrual hygiene and sexual health awareness, and the integration of adolescent reproductive health into the WASH program for menstrual hygiene education, Your Honor.
Is that being implemented right now?
Yes, Your Honor.
And how many years have been implemented, the comprehensive sexuality education, Madam Chair?
Since 2018, Your Honor.
Okay, since 2018. So, 2024 na ngayon. So, it's been about, 6 years, no? 5 years,
Yes, Your
actually. The letters that we have received, Madam Chair, Mr. Secretary, had some questions on the CSE, and I would like just to be able to give details to you by citing some of the questions and some of the contentions. Meron dito na letter sa akin, point of contention 1, sabi nila, the implementation of the comprehensive sexuality education contradicts the core values of the Maratag curriculum. Maka-Diyos, makatao, kalikasan, at makabansa. The aims of CSE should be aligned with the Maratag curriculum, which emphasizes foundational competencies such as literacy and numeracy, with a strong focus on values formation. So, Madam Chair, what can DepEd say about that?
Well, there's a law that requires us to sort of integrate it into the curriculum, Your Honor. But, of course, we're open to, again, as I said, we're open to suggestions as to how it should be taught. But at the moment, we're just trying to comply with the law, Your Honor.
Yeah. And the law you're referring to is the reproductive health law, Senator?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. That is still question of the Supreme Court, am I right? Or it's over, Madam Chair?
I'm not sure. We'll check, Your Honor.
Actually, Madam Chair, Your Honor, before even the reproductive health law became a law, DepEd already has been doing that for some time, even before the law was even became a law. And and then it was questioned of Supreme Court, and it's still there in Supreme Court as far as I'm concerned. But in the thing is, meron dito pong isa na sinabi niya, she finds this integration highly concerning, particularly because the topic of early pregnancy is not age appropriate for grade 5 students. According to the MATAG curriculum, which follows a spiral approach, the introduction of reproductive organs is appropriately covered in science. Why then does CSE deviate from this norm? What kind of values is CSE promoting by introducing the topic of early pregnancy so early? Why discuss early pregnancy at this stage? And what exactly is meant by abstinence in this context? I am actually concerned about this because you begin to teach this to level 5 students, no? That concerns early pregnancy and reproductive organs. I'm kind of quite concerned, Madam Chair, Your Honor.
Yes, we share your concern, Your Honor, and I've been informed that in grade 5, they're not taught about early pregnancy, Your Honor. It's just a class where they refer to the body parts, Your Honor. And for early pregnancy and the topic of reproductive health, it's taught in grade 8 and 9 is what I am told, Your Honor.
Madam Secretary, I know that my good friend, the good Secretary of DepEd, is also a religious person, no? And but then I'm not only referring to a religious conviction, Madam Chair. I'm also referring to what the Philippine Constitution says. In Article 15, Section 3, it says the state, and I quote, "The state shall defend the right of families or family associations to participate in the planning and implementation of policies and programs that affect them." I have always believed that when a child is still under the care of the parents, it must be the obligation of the parents to teach them, not the school. Because, Madam Chair, Your Honor, the government does not own our children. Therefore, it must be the responsibility of the parents to teach those children, whether they be 8th or 9th grade, as long as they're still under the control of the parents, as long as they're still minor, to teach them what reproductive health is, what early pregnancy is. It must not be the school, Madam Chair. May I ask the comment of the Secretary there?
Well, it's a difficult balance, Your Honor, because we have the high incidence of teen pregnancies also. So I think the state also has an interest to intervene there. But I agree with you that it must be age appropriate, meaning it should not be to grade 5 students. That's way too young. And at later years. And of course, ideally, I agree with you also that it should occur at home. But I think there are so many studies which show that, unfortunately, touchy subjects such as these are not discussed.
That's right.
That's the reality, Your Honor. So, napipilitan tayo na pasukan na ho ito. Yung mga usapang maselan at sensitibo. So sabi ko nga, it's a difficult balance for the schools, Your Honor.
Totoo yun, Madam Chair. I'm so glad that the good Secretary realized that. Kasi nabanggit mo yung maselan, nabanggit mo yung talagang delicate. Palagay ko po, it must be the parent that ought to teach their children ang mga babagay na maselan at delicate, not the teachers who are not even related to the students themselves. Okay? Ay, palagay ko, kahit na yung mga teachers natin sa ating mga public schools will not even allow their own children who are minors to be taught delicate things by the teachers themselves. So, I just would like to have two questions na lang, Madam Chair, if I may be allowed, no? Nakalagay po dito sinabi rin nila, I just would like to say this, no, for the understanding of everyone. Ang sabi dito, as Filipinos, we believe that the family, as the basic unit of society, deserves the utmost respect and should have the authority to guide their children on issues of gender and sexuality based on their faith and religious background. For example, like Madam Chair, the Secretary, that there is a law governing this. Would it not be proper for DepEd to also respect the decision of the family, the parents, guided by their faith and religious background, not to include those children, those minor children, to be a part of the CAC? Like to, Madam Chair, to find out the comment of the good secretary here.